properties, like the color of gold, don't change easily unless you do something dramatic to it. And one of the things that's useful to know when doing physics is which properties change and which stay the same. So here's an example. You might have heard of conservation of mass, that the number of kilograms of a sample doesn't change when it undergoes a chemical reaction. That's the kind of thing that's useful to know because it lets you learn about what the system is doing. For example, if you burn a piece of paper and weigh the ashes will weigh less than the paper did. But if you know that the total mass actually didn't change at all, then you know that some perhaps invisible substance with mass equal to what's missing from the ashes must have been produced during the chemical reaction. And so we can use this to infer that gases have mass. So the question that another answered is exactly what properties can stay the same and when. It turns out that these conserved quantities are the result of invariance. When the equations governing an object's behavior don't depend on some property, there is an associated quantity that can be calculated for that object that doesn't change. And that's what energy is. If the equations don't depend on what time it is, then there's another combination of properties, the particular formula of which depends on the system, that doesn't change regardless of whether you calculate it today or in 10 years. Importantly, this is not a measurement. It's just a mathematical combination of other measurements. And we call the number that you get when you calculate this quantity the energy of the system. In the simplest case, where the energy's equations don't depend on location either, this energy quantity is calculated by squaring the speed, multiplying by the mass, and dividing by 2. But for any governing equation that doesn't depend on time, Noether's theorem gives you a formula for the energy of the system in a way that depends on measurable quantities. So energy isn't a substance, it's a number calculable from measurements of other properties of a system, and if the rules governing that system don't change over time, then that number won't change either. Like all numbers, it's a concept, and this concept makes predicting the future and understanding our reality easier. But don't confuse it for matter. Matter is stuff which can move and flow. Energy is but a number. Energy doesn't flow, and nothing is made of energy. In fact, energy isn't even a thing. It's just a number, a concept, a property made up by humans. Confused? Sound like complete nonsense? Stick around, I promise, this is real physics. Up until the mid-1800s, it was believed by some scientists that heat was some sort of physical substance, a fluid, that was transferable between objects. Half a century later, with Einstein's famous E equals mc squared, energy became connected with mass, itself a concept that, at least in the eyes of the public, is what stuff is. Consequently, this idea of energy being a substance that can flow and make up matter has survived in the public imagination, despite how wrong it is. It wasn't until 1918, when mathematician Emmy Noether published her eponymously named theorems, that we really understood what energy is. But now we do, and it's not a substance. Let me explain. So matter, which we might just colloquially call stuff, is things like molecules and atoms and electrons. Things made of particles, basically. And those things have properties. They might have color or length, speed, location, whatever. And one of the simplest goals of physics is to figure out how those properties change over time. Now, of course, some properties can easily change. A bowling ball changes its position when you throw it, and other properties, like the color of gold, don't change easily unless you do something dramatic to it. And one of the things that's useful to know when doing physics is which properties change and which stay the same. So here's an example. You might have heard of conservation of mass, that the number of kilograms of a sample doesn't change when it undergoes a chemical reaction. That's the kind of thing that's useful to know because it lets you learn about what the system is doing. For example, if you burn a piece of paper and weigh the ashes will weigh less than the paper did. But if you know that the total mass actually didn't change at all, then you know that some perhaps invisible substance with mass equal to what's missing from the ashes must have been produced during the chemical reaction. And so we can use this to infer that gases have mass. So the question that another answered is exactly what properties can stay the same and when. It turns out that these conserved quantities are the result of invariance. When the equations governing an object's behavior don't depend on some property, there is an associated quantity that can be calculated for that object that doesn't change. And that's what energy is. If the equations don't depend on what time it is, then there's another combination of properties, the particular formula of which depends on the system, that doesn't change regardless of whether you calculate it today or in 10 years. Importantly, this is not a measurement. It's just a mathematical combination of other measurements. And we call the number that you get when you calculate this quantity the energy of the system. In the simplest case, where the energy's equations don't depend on location either, this energy quantity is calculated by squaring the speed, multiplying by the mass, and dividing by 2. But for any governing equation that doesn't depend on time, Noether's theorem gives you a formula for the energy of the system in a way that depends on measurable quantities. So energy isn't a substance, it's a number calculable from measurements of other properties of a system, and if the rules governing that system don't change over time, then that number won't change either. Like all numbers, it's a concept, and this concept makes predicting the future and understanding our reality easier. But don't confuse it for matter. Matter is stuff which can move and flow. Energy is but a number. Energy doesn't flow, and nothing is made of energy. In fact, energy isn't even a thing. It's just a number, a concept, a property made up by humans. Confused? Sound like complete nonsense? Stick around, I promise, this is real physics. Up until the mid 1800s, it was believed by some scientists that heat was some sort of physical substance, a fluid, that was transferable between objects. Half a century later, with Einstein's famous E equals mc squared, energy became connected with mass, itself a concept that, at least in the eyes of the public, is what stuff is. Consequently, this idea of energy being a substance that can flow and make up matter has survived in the public imagination, despite how wrong it is. It wasn't until 1918, when mathematician Emmy Noether published her eponymously named theorems, that we really understood what energy is. But now we do, and it's not a substance. Let me explain. So matter, which we might just colloquially call stuff, is things like molecules and atoms and electrons. Things made of particles, basically. And those things have properties. They might have color or length, speed, location, whatever. And one of the simplest goals of physics is to figure out how those properties change over time. Now, of course, some properties can easily change. A bowling ball changes its position when you throw it, and other properties, like the color of gold, don't change easily unless you do something dramatic to it. And one of the things that's useful to know when doing physics is which properties change and which stay the same. So here's an example. You might have heard of conservation of mass, that the number of kilograms of a sample doesn't change when it undergoes a chemical reaction. That's the kind of thing that's useful to know because it lets you learn about what the system is doing. For example, if you burn a piece of paper and weigh the ashes will weigh less than the paper did. But if you know that the total mass actually didn't change at all, then you know that some perhaps invisible substance with mass equal to what's missing from the ashes must have been produced during the chemical reaction. And so we can use this to infer that gases have mass. So the question that Noether answered is exactly what properties can stay the same and when. It turns out that these conserved quantities are the result of invariance. When the equations governing an object's behavior don't depend on some property, there is an associated quantity that can be calculated for that object that doesn't change. And that's what energy is. If the equations don't depend on what time it is, then there's another combination of properties, the particular formula of which depends on the system, that doesn't change regardless of whether you calculate it today or in 10 years. Importantly, this is not a measurement. It's just a mathematical combination of other measurements. And we call the number that you get when you calculate this quantity the energy of the system. In the simplest case, where the energy's equations don't depend on location either, this energy quantity is calculated by squaring the speed, multiplying by the mass, and dividing by 2. But for any governing equation that doesn't depend on time, Noether's theorem gives you a formula for the energy of the system in a way that depends on measurable quantities. So energy isn't a substance, it's a number calculable from measurements of other properties of a system, and if the rules governing that system don't change over time, then that number won't change either. Like all numbers, it's a concept, and this concept makes predicting the future and understanding our reality easier. But don't confuse it for matter. Matter is stuff which can move and flow. Energy is but a number. Energy doesn't flow, and nothing is made of energy. In fact, energy isn't even a thing. It's just a number, a concept, a property made up by humans. Confused? Sound like complete nonsense? Stick around, I promise, this is real physics. Up until the mid 1800s, it was believed by some scientists that heat was some sort of physical substance, a fluid, that was transferable between objects. Half a century later, with Einstein's famous E equals mc squared, energy became connected with mass, itself a concept that, at least in the eyes of the public, is what stuff is. Consequently, this idea of energy being a substance that can flow and make up matter has survived in the public imagination, despite how wrong it is. It wasn't until 1918, when mathematician Emmy Noether published her eponymously named theorems, that we really understood what energy is. But now we do, and it's not a substance. Let me explain. So matter, which we might just colloquially call stuff, is things like molecules and atoms and electrons. Things made of particles, basically. And those things have properties. They might have color or length, speed, location, whatever. And one of the simplest goals of physics is to figure out how those properties change over time. Now, of course, some properties can easily change. A bowling ball changes its position when you throw it, and other properties, like the color of gold, don't change easily unless you do something dramatic to it. And one of the things that's useful to know when doing physics is which properties change and which stay the same. So here's an example. You might have heard of conservation of mass, that the number of kilograms of a sample doesn't change when it undergoes a chemical reaction. That's the kind of thing that's useful to know because it lets you learn about what the system is doing. For example, if you burn a piece of paper and weigh the ashes will weigh less than the paper did. But if you know that the total mass actually didn't change at all, then you know that some perhaps invisible substance with mass equal to what's missing from the ashes must have been produced during the chemical reaction. And so we can use this to infer that gases have mass. So the question that Noether answered is exactly what properties can stay the same and when. It turns out that these conserved quantities are the result of invariance. When the equations governing an object's behavior don't depend on some property, there is an associated quantity that can be calculated for that object that doesn't change. And that's what energy is. If the equations don't depend on what time it is, then there's another combination of properties, the particular formula of which depends on the system, that doesn't change regardless of whether you calculate it today or in 10 years. Importantly, this is not a measurement. It's just a mathematical combination of other measurements. And we call the number that you get when you calculate this quantity the energy of the system. In the simplest case, where the energies equations don't depend on location either, this energy quantity is calculated by squaring the speed, multiplying by the mass, and dividing by 2. But for any governing equation that doesn't depend on time, Noether's theorem gives you a formula for the energy of the system in a way that depends on measurable quantities. So energy isn't a substance, it's a number calculable from measurements of other properties of a system, and if the rules governing that system don't change over time, then that number won't change either. Like all numbers, it's a concept, and this concept makes predicting the future and understanding our reality easier. But don't confuse it for matter. Matter is stuff which can move and flow. Energy is but a number. Energy doesn't flow, and nothing is made of energy. In fact, energy isn't even a thing. It's just a number, a concept, a property made up by humans. Confused? Sound like complete nonsense? Stick around. I promise. Up until the mid-1800s, it was believed by some scientists that heat was some sort of physical substance, a fluid, that was transferable between objects. Half a century later, with Einstein's famous MC squared, energy became connected with mass, itself a concept that, at least in the eyes of the public, is what stuff is. Consequently, this idea of energy being a substance that can flow and make up matter has survived the public imagination, despite how wrong it is. It wasn't until 1918 when mathematician Emmy Noether published her eponymously named theorems that we really understood what energy is. But now we do, and it's not a substance. Let me explain. So matter, which we might just colloquially call stuff, is things like molecules and atoms and electrons. Things made of particles, basically. And those things have properties. They might have color or length, speed, location, whatever.
3 right, opens 6 long, and keep left over 50, into turn 4 right, tightens over crest, opens long, 60. 6 right of a crest and dip, and keep middle of a jumps, 100. To stop, well done. Starts 30 for left long, into 6 right, tightens 4 of a crest. Good luck. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. 30 for left long, into 6 right, tightens 4 of a crest, into 6 left of a crest, and 5 right long, 80, 5 right long of a crest, tightens, into 6 left, opens, keep middle of a long crest, into 6 left, very long, tightens 4 of a crest, 60, 3 right long of a crest, 80, keep left of a crest, jump, 100, 6 right long of a crest, 40, caution, 3 left of a crest, into caution, 3 right, opens 6 long, and keep left of a 50, into turn 4 right, tightens of a crest, opens long, 60, 6 right of a crest and dip, and keep middle of a jumps, 100, keep middle of a crest and sudden for left long, opens, keep middle of a crest, 60, 5 right, very long, opens 6, extra long, tightens, into 6 left of a crest, 100, early 5 left of a crest long, 100, keep middle of a crest, 80, 6 right of a 2 jumps, opens extra long of a crest, tightens, into caution, 6 left of a jump, 50, crest and jump and 6 left of a crest, 50, turn 5 right of a junction, 60, 5 left long of a crest and jump, 60, 5 right, tightens 3 of a crest, opens 70, 6 left of a bump, caution, tightens 3 of a crest, 80, keep right of a crest and jump into 6 right of a crest, 100, 6 left of a crest, jump, 150, 6 right of a crest, 50, 5 left of a jump, opens into 6 right of a jump, 80, caution, 4 right, tightens of a crest, into 6 left long, tightens 4 of a dip, 50, early 5 right of a crest, jump, 70, flat right of a crest, jump, 100, flat left to keep middle of a jump, 160, slow, keep middle of a crest, 30, turn 1 left, tightens, keep middle of a long flat crest, and keep left of a 60, keep middle of a jump, and 6 left, tightens. 100, 4 right long, 120, 6 left of a crest, jump, 140, 6 left of a crest, a caution slow, 4 right long of a crest, 40, turn unseen, hairpin left, 80, flat crest, 60, 4 right of a crest long, tightens, 80, 6 left, 40, 4 left of a crest long, 50, 6 right to keep middle of a crest, 70, past junction, keep right of a jump, into 6 left, tightens, 5, 60, 6 right, opens, 200, 4 left, tightens of a crest, 80, 5 right long of a crest, 60, caution, 5 left, tightens of a crest, keep in, 80, 5 right of a crest, opens, keep middle of a crest, into 5 left, and 6 right, opens, keep middle of a big jump, into flat right, into 6 left, very long, tightens 5 of a crest, 150, early 5 left of a crest, 30, 4 right of a dip, open 6, extra long of a crest, to keep middle of a jump, 50, jump, and keep middle of a jump, into 6 left, tightens of a crest long, and 5 right, tightens long, 50, 5 left of a double crest, 100, keep left of a crest, into 4 left, opens of a crest, 200, over bumps, keep right of a jump, into 6 right long, tightens 5, extra long, over crest, junction, 50, keep middle of a big jump, 30, 6 right tightens, 5 left, very long of a crest, opens and tightens of a crest, caution 50, 6 right long, tightens 3 of a crest, 60, keep left over crest, into 3 left, open 6 long, to keep middle of a crest, into 6 right of a jump, into 6 left long, over jumps, 50, 5 left of a crest, 70, crest, into 5 right, open 6, extra long, over crests, 60, 6 left of a jump, 50, caution, 4 left of a crest, 100, early 5 left of a big crest, 60, early 5 left of a big crest, 60, bump into 4 right of a crest, and 6 left, very long, opens of a jump, 60, 6 right of a crest, opens long of a jump maybe, keep right of 80, 6 left long, tightens 5 of a crest, 150 over bumps, 6 right, keep in of a crest and jump, opens long to keep middle of a big jump, and keep left of a crest, and 6 left, very long of a crests, tightens 4 of a crest, 100, 4 right of a crest, opens 200, over bumps, caution, early 5 left of a crest, 150 over bumps, 6 right long, over finish, 80 to stop. Well done. But into caution, 3 right, turn 5 right of a junction, 60, 6 right of a jump, 80. Caution, 4. Keep middle of a jump and 6 left tightens. Six right, keep in of a crest. into stop. Starts 6 right, 6 left, tightens of a dip and jump. Good luck. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. 6 left, tightens of a dip and jump, crest, into 6 right, slow 80, 5 right, 50, unseen, tight hairpin right. Into 5 left, opens of a crest long, 30, 6 left, don't cut, 6 right, slow 60 downhill, unseen, tight hairpin left. And 6 right, into 6 left, very long, into 4 right, tightens of a jump, caution 70, 3 right tightens, into 3 left, and 3 right, opens 50, slow 5 left long, tightens 4, 30, unseen, hairpin right, 60, unseen hairpin left, 50, 5 left, opens extra long, to keep middle of a crest, turn 4 left, into 5 right tightens, and caution 3 left, tightens of a dip, to 6 right of a crest, and 2 right, narrow, into turn 3 left, and 2 right, tightens of a crest and dip, 50, late 4 left, and 5 right of a crest, 6 left, slow 6 right, extra long, tightens 3, into turn 3 left long, keep right of a 50, 5 left, into 6 right, 60, keep right of a jump, 80, 5 right of a jump crest long, into 6 left, caution slow crest, and 4 right, tightens of a crest long, tightens 2, 60, 3 right tightens, and slow 50, keep right of a crest, into 2 left, tightens long, keep right of a 100, 5 left, extra long, tightens turn 3, into 2 right of a crest, tightens, into 6 left, opens of a crest long, 60, uphill, 2 right, very long of a crest, tightens, into 6 left of a crest, and 6 right, and 5 left tightens, slow 30, 4 left long, tightens turn 2, open 6, extra long, into 5 right long, tightens turn 3, opens long of a crest, 50 over crest, 3 right unseen, keep left over 50, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 6. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. 6 left, tightens of a dip and jump, crest, into 6 right, slow 80, 5 right, 50, unseen, tight ebb in right. Into 5 left, opens of a crest long, 30, 6 left, don't cut, 6 right, slow 60 downhill, unseen, tight ebb in left. And 6 right, into 6 left, very long, into 4 right, tightens of a jump, caution 70, 3 right tightens, into 3 left, and 3 right, opens 50, slow 5 left long, tightens 4, 30, unseen, hairpin right, 60, unseen hairpin left, 50, 5 left, opens extra long, to keep middle of a crest, turn 4 left, into 5 right tightens, and caution 3 left, tightens of a dip, to 6 right of a crest, and 2 right, narrow, into turn 3 left, and 2 right, tightens of a crest and dip, 50, late 4 left, and 5 right of a crest, 6 left, slow 6 right, extra long, tightens 3, into turn 3 left long, keep right of a 50, 5 left, into 6 right, 60, keep right of a jump, 80, 5 right of a jump crest long, into 6 left, caution slow crest and 4 right, tightens of a crest long, tightens 2, 60, 3 right tightens, slow 50, keep right of a crest into 2 left, tightens long, keep right of a 100, 5 left, extra long, tightens turn 3, into 2 right of a crest, tightens, into 6 left, opens of a crest long, 60, uphill, 2 right, very long of a crest, tightens, into 6 left of a crest, and 6 right, and 5 left tightens, slow 30, 4 left long, tightens turn 2, opens 6, extra long, into 5 right long, tightens turn 3, opens long of a crest, 50, over crest, 3 right unseen, keep left over 50, 4 right of a crest jump, into 6 left long, opens 100, uphill, very early, 6 right of a crest jump, and 5 left, very long, tightens 3, over finish very long, to stop. Well done. right. Into 6 left, very long. Into late 4 left and 5 right of a crest, 6 left. It's long, into 6 left. Caution slow crest and 4 right, tightens of a crest long, tightens 2. 60. Long, tightens turn 3. Starts 60, bumps into 4 right, 30, 1 right long opens. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. 60 bump, into 4 right, 30. 1 right long. Opens, into 4 right, into 3 left on cut, and keep right, 30, open hairpin left. Slow, 4 right of a crest long, tightens 2, into 2 left, opens 30, 6 left of a crest 50, unseen 2 right, into 3 left on cut, into unseen, 2 right small cut, into 2 left long, tightens, into 2 right long, opens, tightens, hairpin right, tightens, into 1 left, tightens, opens long, into turn, 1 right don't cut, into 2 left long, tightens, opens, into 2 left long, tightens 1, into 1 right long, tightens hairpin right, 30, 1 left long, into 6 left, sudden hairpin right, opens, 4 right long of a crest bump, caution 30, 1 right, into hairpin left, into 6 right, keep left over 50, 4 right narrow, 30, 3 left over bump, into 2 right, 20, 1 right long tightens, into 5 left, into 4 right long of a crest, into hairpin left, into 4 right long of a crest, into 2 left long, tightens of a crest, over finish, 30 over jumps, caution, 4 left, to stop, well done. Cut and keep right, to 3 left on cut, into unseen, 2 right small cut, into 1 right long, tightens hairpin right, 30, 1 left long, Start 60, open hairpin right tightens, into 1 left, extra long. Good luck. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. 60, open hairpin right, tightens. Into 1 left, extra long. Into 1 right, tightens. Opens, extra long. Into 2 left. Extra long, tightens 1, into 2 right tightens, into unseen, hairpin left, don't cut, into 1 right tightens, into don't cut 6 left, into 3 right over crest, 30, keep right, into 4 left, opens extra long, tightens 1. Into don't cut, 1 right, into 5 left, 6 right, 30, unseen, hairpin right, opens, 6 right, 30, open hairpin left, opens 6 long, over crest, sudden, 1 left, tightens over crest, narrow, 2 right, don't cut, into 2 left tightens, into 6 right, Five, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. 60, open hairpin right, tightens, into 1 left, extra long. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. 60, open hairpin right, tightens, into 1 left, extra long. Into 1 right tightens, opens, Five, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. 60, open hairpin right, tightens, into 1 left, extra long. Into 1 right tightens, opens, extra long, into 2 left, extra long, tightens 1, into 2 right tightens, into unseen, hairpin left, don't cut, into 1 right tightens, into don't cut 6 left, into 3 right over crest, 30, keep right, into 4 left, opens extra long, tightens 1, into don't cut, 1 right, into 5 left, 6 right, 30, unseen, hairpin right, opens, 6 right, 30, open hairpin left, opens 6 long, over crest, sudden, 1 left, tightens over crest, narrow, 2 right, don't cut, into 2 left tightens, into 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. 60, open hairpin right, tightens. Into 1 left, extra long. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. 60, open hairpin right, tightens. Into 1 left, extra long.
Too much.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. 60, open hairpin right, tightens. Into 1 left, extra long. Into 1 right, tightens. Opens, extra long. Into 2 left, extra long, tightens 1, into 2 right, tightens, into unseen, hairpin left, don't cut, into 1 right, tightens, into don't cut 6 left, into 3 right over crest, 30, keep right, into 4 left, opens extra long, tightens 1, into don't cut, 1 right, into 5 left, 6 right, 30, unseen, hairpin right, opens 6 right, 30, open hairpin left, opens 6 long, over crest, sudden, 1 left, tightens over crest, narrow, 2 right, don't cut, into 2 left, tightens, into 6 right, into 6 left, 30, 6 right, long, opens, slow, 50, crest and unseen hairpin right, 30, don't cut, 1 left of a narrow bridge, 30, 3 left, and keep right into 1 left, don't cut, into 4 right of a narrow bridge, into 4 left of a crest, and 4 right, 2 left tightens. 30, unseen hairpin right, into hairpin left, into 2 right, into 1 left, into 1 right, into don't cut, 2 left, opens, into 2 right, into don't cut, 2 left, tightens of a narrow bridge, 30, 2 right, 1 left, opens long, 30, caution crest and don't cut, 2 right, tightens of a narrow bridge, into 2 right long, tightens 1, into 1 left, into 4 right, 30, 3 left, 30, caution, 1 right, tightens of a narrow bridge, into 3 left of a crest, 30, 3 right, into 3 left long, into unseen, 1 right tightens, into 5 left, into 5 right, into open hairpin left, of a crest, keep in, 20, crest and unseen, early hairpin right, into unseen, open hairpin left, long tightens, into 2 right, opens 30, crest, sudden, hairpin right, opens, into 4 left long, tightens, don't cut, 1, crest,
Hombre.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. 60, open hairpin right, tightens. Into 1 left, extra long. Into 1 right, tightens. Opens, extra long. Into 2 left. Extra long, tightens 1. Into 2 right, tightens. Into unseen, hairpin left, don't cut. Into 1 right, tightens. Into don't cut 6 left. Into 3 right over crest, 30. Keep right, into 4 left, opens extra long, tightens 1. Into don't cut 1 right. Into 5 left, 6 right, 30, unseen, hairpin right. Opens 6 right, 30, open hairpin left. Opens 6 long of a crest, sudden, 1 left. Tightens of a crest, narrow. 2 right, don't cut. Into 2 left, tightens. Into 6 right. Into 6 left. 30. 6 right, long. Opens, slow, 50. Crest and unseen, hairpin right. 30. Don't cut, 1 left of a narrow bridge. 30. 3 left, and keep right into 1 left, don't cut. Into 4 right of a narrow bridge. Into 4 left of a crest, and 4 right, 2 left tightens. 30. Unseen hairpin right. Into hairpin left. Into 2 right. Into 1 left. Into 1 right. Into don't cut, 2 left. Opens. Into 2 right. Into don't cut, 2 left, tightens of a narrow bridge. 30, 2 right, 1 left. Opens long. 30. Caution crest and don't cut, 2 right, tightens of a narrow bridge. Into 2 right long, tightens 1. Into 1 left. Into 4 right, 30. 3 left, 30. Caution, 1 right, tightens of a narrow bridge. Into 3 left of a crest, 30. 3 right. Into 3 left long. Into unseen, 1 right, tightens. Into 5 left. Into 5 right. Into open hairpin left of a crest, keep in. 20. Crest and unseen, early hairpin right. Into unseen, open hairpin left, long tightens. Into 2 right, opens 30. Is that a puncher at the front? Crest, sudden, hairpin right. Opens. Into 4 left long, tightens, don't cut 1. .30. Unseen hairpin right. 30. 2 right tightens. Into 3 left. 30. 6 right long to crest and 4 left, extra long, tightens 1 around bridge. into 5 right of a bump, 30, 3 right, into 4 left long tightens, into slow, 4 right, extra long, over crest tightens, into 3 left, opens, into 4 right, very long, into 3 left long over crest, keep left of a crest and 5 left, extra long, tightens, 50. Crest, into 4 right long, tightens keep in, into 4 left long, tightens cut maybe, 50. 4 right long, 50. 5 left, small cut, into 6 right, extra long of a crest, tightens 5, into 6 left, extra long, to crest, and flat right, 80. Turn, 2 right tightens, into 6 left, opens of a crest long, 30. 5 left long, opens, into 6 right, over finish, 50, to stop, well done. Six right, 30, unseen, hairpin right. Opens, 6 right, 30, open hairpin left. Opens, 6 long of a crest, sudden, 1 left. Right of a narrow bridge, into caution, 1 right tightens of a narrow bridge, into 3 left of opens into 4 right, very long. Five left long, opens into
Where are you right now? Take a look around. Take stock of your surroundings. What do you see? The inside of your car on the commute to work? An office cubicle? Your bathroom floor? Your bedroom ceiling? Now, notice how you described it to yourself. You may have been literal. A wooden wall, the smell of something cooking on a stove, a neighbor's dog barking, a picture frame, a desk, a tangle of cables. Or maybe you reached for broader strokes. The interior of your room, a slice of blue sky, or the traffic that you're stuck in. However you described it, you just did something most people never think twice about. You observed the world outside of yourself. You took in that data and you trusted your mind to build an accurate picture of where you are. But what if you got it wrong? What if you aren't seeing the world as it is at all? What if I told you that there's a force that keeps you from experiencing the totality of what is around you? It keeps you blinkered, narrows your attention to only what it wants you to see. It edits your perception in real time, colors the world so you fit neatly in with the crowd. It uses half-truths, recreations, and outright fabrications. It steers you through life while insisting, every step of the way, that what you are seeing is real. You can't escape it. You can't outthink it, because it isn't working against you from somewhere else. It's a part of you. It is you. This is one of the most terrifying theories in neuroscience you'll ever come across. Your brain is incredibly powerful, yet so vulnerable at the same time. Packed into your skull is the most powerful tool for mapping the world around you, but one that is also uniquely exposed to being misled. Think about what your brain has to do every second that you're awake. It doesn't have the time or the energy to carefully analyze every photon hitting your eyes or every sound wave reaching your ear. So it cheats. It takes shortcuts. It fills in gaps with assumptions and decides in advance what's probably true based on what's worked before. That's not a flaw bolted onto an otherwise perfect machine. That is the machine. The same shortcut that lets you recognize a friend's face in a crowded room in a fraction of a second. The same assumptions that let you catch a ball without solving a single equation are the exact mechanisms that can be hijacked, manipulated, or turned against you. Things like logical fallacies that we lean on to dodge complicated thoughts or ideas that clash with what we already believe. And it doesn't stop at the individual level. There's social pressure too, the pull to toe the line. We're social animals, and our own brains reward us for falling in step with the group. Psychologists call this groupthink. It's easy to just go along with what everyone else believes and seeing what they're seeing because that's what our brains want to do. There are parts of our brain that drive this social cohesion. These devices are specialized neurons called mirror neurons. If you've ever wondered why yawning is contagious, well, you have your culprit, as your mirror neurons are compelling you to yawn when you see someone else yawning. The reason for contagious yawning is to pass a message through a social group. That message is, well, things are quiet right now, but we should stay alert. And when we yawn, we are keeping our minds sharp when otherwise we might be inclined to doze off. It's like meerkats. If everyone is alert, the whole group will be much more likely to detect any incoming threats. Our mirror neurons are also responsible for empathy. When someone stubs their toe, we cringe along with them, even if we aren't stubbing our own toes. Our brains are stimulating empathy by simulating pain, and that shared experience brings us closer to the people around us. On top of all that, mirror neurons are responsible for our ability to learn an action just by observing someone else performing the same action. In our infancy, we learn a lot about how to relate with the world around us by watching our parents or other authority figures. It's in this way that behavior is quietly passed down from one generation to the next. But these mirror neurons can also take us down strange and dark paths. But before we get into that, here's something worth sitting with. If perception itself is this unreliable, human memory is worse. It doesn't just fade, it gets rewritten a little every time you retell it. And that's something I deal with on two levels. The big metaphorical who am I, really version, and the much more annoying day-to-day version. When making these videos, I talk with a lot of the team and also with experts, research calls, brainstorming sessions, interviews, and for the longest time, I'd either completely forget everything I heard and have to re-watch the entire meeting back, or walk away with a notebook full of half-finished scribbles and a memory that, ironically, wasn't filling in the gaps very well. That's why I started using the Plod Note Pro, a physical AI assistant that sits in on your conversations, so you can stay present without relying on your memory afterwards. One press starts studio-quality recording, even from several meters away. A quick second press marks important moments, so the AI knows exactly what mattered. But the part that's actually changed my workflow is Ask Plod. After a session, I can type something in like, "What did we agree on for this deadline?" And it pulls the answer straight from the transcript instead of having to scrub through an hour of audio. It's also built with privacy in mind, so it's GDPR, HIPAA, and SOC2 compliant, and your records are never used to train their AI models. Just keep in mind that if you're recording other people, you really should get their consent first. To stop relying on your memory and start remembering everything from your important conversations, click the first link in the description and use the code to get 10% off your order. Now back to our story. In 1518, a craze swept the people of Strasbourg, a region that today is part of France. A woman named Frau Trophia and her daughter, Fraulein Emma-Gotz, began to dance in the streets of Strasbourg. There was no celebration planned for the day, and there was no music playing. But soon they would be joined by others, some of whom were dancing with such a single-minded obsession that only death had the power to stop them. By mid-August, the mysterious affliction had affected up to 400 people. The dancers were moving spasmodically, their bodies drenched with sweat. Many collapsed mid-dance, and others wore through their shoes and stained the flagstones of their town with bloody footprints. There are disagreements with the death toll, but historians estimate that on average, 15 people a day were dying due to hunger or acute heart attacks at the peak of the incident. And then, by September, it was over. The Strasbourg dancing epidemic came and went, and left clergy, physicians, epidemiologists, and historians scratching their heads. The incident is one of the earlier examples of what is referred to as mass psychogenic illness, an anxiety condition that spreads through tight-knit communities. By 1518, Strasbourg had experienced a succession of famines, high grain prices, an outbreak of syphilis, and a recurrence of leprosy and the plague. The people were, simply put, at their wits' end, and tensions were high. With a population constantly in survival mode, mental health declined and created a populace primed for a collective crash-out. Stress and cognitive load have been linked to higher rates of suggestibility. If you've ever had to cram for exams or stay up until the wee hours of the morning finishing a paper that's due the same day, then you probably know the feeling. How stress starts taking over every part of you until it becomes harder and harder to think properly, and then, bam, you snap at everything and everyone. You stop thinking rationally through problems and you start taking shortcuts. Maybe you've noticed that while you're in a stress hole, just trying to get that last bit of the project done, that the people around you begin to take on that pressure as well. Or maybe you've been the other person, watching a loved one spiral further and further and feeling yourself get stressed just by being near them. The mood is contagious. Soon enough, everyone is having a terrible, terrible time. The people of Strasbourg were exposed to extreme stress by their environment. They were neurologically susceptible to suggestion. Because of these two factors, an entire population shared the same collective hallucination that there was a very real disease that was ravaging their town, forcing townsfolk to dance without end. To be clear, there was no dancing plague. But for the people living in Strasbourg, it was very real. Their perceptions and even their health was influenced by this social phantasm. They experienced something as though it was very real. They suffered and died of a fake disease that, in the moment, felt as real as the ground they were standing on. And Strasbourg wasn't an isolated incident of mass hysteria. Other such incidents have occurred throughout history, up to and including the evil clown panic of 2016. Maybe you remember that too. Rumors on the internet about people dressed as clowns attacking other people on the streets. Perhaps there were some isolated incidents here and there, but the coulrophobia, the fear of clowns, that resulted was everywhere for a time. I even had friends warning me, without any sense of irony, to watch out for dangerous clowns. Weird times. There weren't any roving bands of clowns menacing people in the dead of night, but a shared social belief had managed to prevail on otherwise rational people that there were clown-masked assailants lurking in every corner. On that note, technology and the internet in particular have done a lot of heavy lifting in demystifying a lot of urban legends. But at the same time, misinformation and disinformation have both been given a powerful avenue to spread through the populace and further warp perceptions away from reality. The scary part of all of this is that these perception-warping empathic contagions aren't just limited to stressed-out populations. Our language and culture have a huge effect on our understanding of the world around us. Pre-Socratic sophist and philosopher Gorgias of Leontini argued that the physical world could not be experienced except through language, and that the truth of existence as we know it is filtered through our sense of aesthetics. Gorgias claimed that only through language could we figure out the physical world. The truth of reality, then, is based on cultural preference or a functional consequence of our upbringing. Language forms the bedrock of our thoughts. Our experience of the world is influenced by the words that we have access to. With gendered languages like German, a bridge can be beautiful.
What has become popularized as the manosphere define their message around anti-feminism. Women are ruining culture and society.
Well, feminism is ruining culture and society.
You're kind of look-smaxed right now for your age group.
Thank you.
There's many men in the manosphere that are spreading a 100% positive message. I think we should have 100 more Andrew Tates.
Has feminism held men back, or has the manosphere distorted what masculinity means for an entire generation? I'm John Regalado, and from Jubilee Media, this is Surrounded, where one brave soul faces a room full of disagreeers. Today we are diving into the manosphere, feminism, and what being a high-value man actually means. Our guest today is a best-selling author who's made a career out of challenging the way men think about themselves. Mark Manson, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Are you ready to debate this circle?
I think so.
All right, manosphere folks, are you ready to get into this? All right, let's get started.
Hi, I'm Mark Manson. I'm the #1 New York Times bestselling author and a former men's dating and relationship coach. And today, I'm surrounded by the manosphere. My first surrounded claim is that the manosphere is a billion-dollar business that profits off keeping men angry and insecure.
If you would like to debate this claim, please get to the chair in 3, 2, 1.
Hey, it's good to meet you.
What's up, man?
Jake.
Nice to meet you.
So I think it's important to ask first, what do you mean by the manosphere?
I would say it is the subculture of men's dating and life advice that is particularly identifiable by its sexist and traditional beliefs.
Yeah, I mean, feels a little bit no true Scotsman-y. If you define the category as being sexist, then from the category moving out from there, we're going to have a problem. Because I'm not a sexist. And so if you want to say that, like, if you're in the manosphere, that means you're sexist, or no true member of the manosphere isn't sexist, like, that's not a productive...
So how do you define it?
I think the manosphere are people who focus heavily on men's issues and are trying to instruct men on how to lead better lives, who are trying to fulfill a role that maybe a father should have or maybe can't because of a variety of societal environments. And they might do that well, they might do that poorly. And I think the discussion is about how well the sort of figures that are gaining popularity are doing that.
Right.
And maybe some of them might be sexist and some of them might be telling true things, and there's kind of a variety of mixed bags on this. But before I move on, does that seem like a reasonable starting point for what the manosphere is?
That would be a broader definition than I would give to it.
Well, you defined it as sexist, and so obviously much broader. Like,
yes.
I'm not even in your definition, so that's not.
And I am in your definition.
Right.
So it's I would say what has become popularized as the manosphere, and maybe my reading is off on this, but it's stuff like the Tate brothers, Myron Gaines, Harrison Sullivan, all the guys featured in the recent documentary that came out, like that kind of brand and flavor of men's advice. And I'll say this too. So back when I was in this industry, and I was giving men advice professionally, there was a pretty clear delineation between the guys who were just genuinely like, hey, let me help you try to get a date, like, let me help you try to make
tough out there.
Yeah, like help you get a raise at work, right?
Yeah,
and
go
there
to
was
the
a whole
gym, get stronger.
there was a
be more
whole
confident.
subculture of men who really very much define their message around anti-feminism. Women are ruining culture and society.
Feminism is ruining culture and society. That doesn't mean all women are, but it does mean feminism is. And I think it's an issue to conflate the idea of like, women are, like women, versus the philosophy of feminism. Because you could have male feminists who I think are often more destructive for culture than female feminists are.
Right.
And you could have women who are not feminists. And so on both ends, I think that's a conflation not to make.
Okay. So my claim specifically is about the men in this space who their primary message towards men is that of anger, that of selfishness, empowerment through intimidation and domination of others.
I think there's a lot of different things there. I think there are a lot of things that you should be angry about. But that doesn't mean that you should be a victim. And I think that just because a certain society has decided that the future is female, has decided to instruct men from a very young age, has removed fathers from the home, has used various incentive programs to encourage single motherhood rates, has made it such that boys are told from age 7 that the fundamental way to view history is a patriarchy, and because other men used to be bad, which I think is even debatable a claim on its own, that you therefore are bad as well. And I think that there's a lot of things that you should be angry about. And if you have a young boy who's going through that, if you have gone through that, these are things you should be angry about. That doesn't mean you should be selfish.
Right.
Same thing, idea of like, you shouldn't intimidate and you shouldn't lead with force. But it doesn't mean you shouldn't be a dominating figure. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't lead with a positive, masculine leadership of what that is. It is a dominant. And if you have a young boy who's going through that, if you have gone through that, these are things you should be angry about. That doesn't mean you should be selfish.
Right.
Same thing, idea of like, you shouldn't intimidate and you shouldn't lead with force. But it doesn't mean you shouldn't be a dominating figure. And I think the good manosphere figures, I mean, you named a couple of them, whether they're good or bad, I don't want to mention the personal lives of those people, but the message of like, shut up, go to the gym. I'm sorry your life is hard. And you should be angry about that and you should fight back, but you need to channel that into, talking to that pretty girl anyway.
Yeah.
And being strong anyway.
I want to make 2 points. One is that I think you've just done the same thing with feminism that you accused me of doing with the manosphere, right? Which is taking some of the most extreme claims and then classifying the entire school of thought based on those extreme claims. We can get into the nuts and bolts
Well, I'm
of that,
taking what's taught in elementary schools.
which is some extreme stuff. And
The extreme manosphere stuff isn't taught in elementary schools.
I understand
The
that.
future is female. You see people wearing that in their elementary schools.
I understand.
Can we agree that's an extreme position?
I do agree with that.
Okay.
So, I would agree with you on that probably shouldn't be in an elementary school.
Yeah.
This
Funded by the state.
Yes. The second point, there's the advice, and then there's the packaging, right?
Yes.
What you just said, right? Get your life together. Go to the gym. Take care of yourself. Like, work
Amen.
on
Yes,
yourself.
sir.
Right? Like, these are all great things. My point would be that you can get that advice in 100 other different places without the toxic packaging.
But that doesn't go
attached.
viral. People don't see it. The media
Totally.
suppresses it. The environment, if you want to get the message out, you have to go extreme. And I wish we didn't have that. And if we want to talk about how we should restructure the systems of YouTube and everything, that would be great. And I think we're trying to do that now, trying to get this out.
How do you have to go extreme? I mean, like, so I'll give an example of somebody who I do think is a healthy figure in this space, which is Chris Williamson. He is like the 8th biggest podcast in the world right now. Like, he's not extreme. He's not saying all the same shit that like Andrew Tate is saying or Myron Gaines is saying, right? It's like, I have an audience of over 10 million people. I'm not saying any of this shit. I don't think you have to be extreme to get it. And I worry that there's some good messages are being attached to so many poison pills that a lot of young men don't know how to differentiate between the good advice and the toxic advice. that it's leading them down a bad path.
There certainly is some toxic advice out there, but the idea that that's the primary thing that people are learning from these, I don't think that's true. If you're gone down the rabbit hole and you're watching, 6 hours of Myron Gaines and 4 hours of Andrew Tate, and you're watching collab streams all the time, these people, that's not the majority of people who are involved in the manosphere.
Totally.
That's not what's happening. The things that you're getting from these people are saying, you know what, maybe you should put more interest into your look. It's not everything, but obviously your look matters, and maybe you should go to the gym. It's not everything, but obviously the gym matters. All of these messages may be packaged with a more extreme idea to it,
Sure.
but the extremeness is how you go viral. And someone like Chris Williamson and someone like yourself, these are great people, but you guys aren't being the number one talked about person on the internet. You guys aren't changing the fundamental way that people view our culture. And I wish you could, but
Right.
the internet isn't set up for that.
We're also not doing it because I don't think it helps. So, for example, a Movember survey from 2025 found that young men who regularly consume manosphere content or masculinity influencers were much more likely to report feelings of worthlessness, extreme sadness, and extreme anxiety.
That's backwards causation. It's the people who are feeling extreme worthlessness are looking for someone to teach them what to do.
You don't see that same correlation show up in other self-help genres, though.
Well, that's how self-help genres don't help almost always. They're almost always feel-good nonsense. If you're told you're good the way you are, you can do whatever you need, you're a magic special person, that's the kind of thing that someone who is looking for that kind of experience.
Right.
The person who is feeling bad needs someone to tell them, yeah, you are feeling bad. And you need to grow up and you need to get strong. And so the correlation
the Matrix is
just
holding
backwards.
you down, and it's
Well,
not-
it is. We just agreed that elementary schools are trying to oppress men at the age of 7.
Is that the Matrix?
The state funded by the state. Of course, it's the Matrix.
Is this a federal policy to tell 7-year-olds that the future is a woman?
It's in every elementary school. We just agreed on that.
I do not agree it's in every elementary school.
Not every single one.
I agree it's in some, and it's probably the doing of certain far left teachers and educators.
Which begins in the far left universities, which are funded by the state and are structured from the top down to oppress.
So-
the structure isn't natural.
To bring it back to my point,
Yeah.
which is that you just made the point that a lot of self-help advice is bullshit.
Oh, almost all of it, yeah.
Garbage, right? Let's take like The Secret, right? Law of attraction stuff. Do you agree that that's kind of ridiculous? Because
Law of attraction, I'm not sure exactly how that works. I haven't heard
it's
this
like
one.
if you just believe that you deserve something, the universe will give it to you.
Oh yeah, that's nonsense.
Okay.
But it is the case that you can fake it till you make it, and if you act as though you have it, you might be more likely to get it.
Perfect. So we agree on that. So that's a perfect example of what's actually like kind of a good piece of advice, but then it's packaged in this ridiculous cosmological, like, oh, the universe's energy is going to serve you what you deserve and all this shit, right?
It's almost the health and wealth gospel, which is
Right.
a violation of the Christian heresy, basically.
But that gets millions of people to start focusing more on their goals and dreams. So my argument is that the manosphere is doing the same thing. It has all of this ideology around the matrix and the system is oppressing you and you should be angry and all this.
Well, you should be.
So get up and clean your room and go to the gym.
Yes.
So it's good advice packaged in this like
But the package that you
elaborate-
just said that you should be angry is the correct package. Because
All right,
I'm
we got
angry.
a pause
about it.
there. You've been voted out by the majority.
It's great talking to them.
Yeah, you could.
I think we agree on more things than it may seem.
We might.
3 left, into 3 right, tightens.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. What's your view on men right now in 2026? Do you believe that the current situation for young men is approximately the same as, 15, 20 years ago? Or
No, it's much worse.
okay, why would you say that it's worse?
Things have gotten really rough for young men, and I think it is fundamentally structural and economic. It has to do with the technology, it has to do with the nature of the economies changing. And the reason I believe this, and I don't buy it's feminism's fault, is because when you look globally, you look at countries that have not had a large feminist impact, the young men are struggling just as much there, if not more. And if you look at some of the countries that are even more progressive and more feminist than the United States, the men are doing better there than they are doing here. So I don't think it's feminism. I think it's happening at a much more fundamental level than culture.
Yeah, I hear that. And honestly, I agree with you that a lot of these manosphere characters, they use the anti-feminist and anti-woman thing as it is a packaging, and it does obviously go viral.
Yeah.
But I think what's interesting to me is that we have this conversation of, does the cart come before the horse? Is the manosphere causing men to be angry at women and that's causing more incel behavior, or is the society becoming more difficult for men to navigate and creating more incels that are already frustrated, and then they see this content on YouTube saying, you should be doing this and that, and this is really what women think, and that resonates. So what would you say? You're saying that it's...
I would say it's both.
It's both.
I personally believe that the manosphere is the wrong answer to a very legitimate problem, right? The legitimate problem is that young men and boys are struggling. They have fewer role models.
They're not having sex, right?
Right, and they have fewer role models. They have fewer people to look up to. They're getting advice from fewer places. The manosphere is filling that vacuum, but I believe that it's filling it with a lot of toxic information. There's a whole subreddit called X Red Pill, and if you go through there and read all those guys' stories, it's
extreme.
Yeah, it's ugly.
So why do you think, genuinely, what is you said that there's some systematic change that's happening across, you said globally, so what do you think that is?
My guess is that it's a combination of moving to a more globalized services economy, right? If you actually look at the psychological differences between men and women, right? It's like women tend to be a little bit more pro-social. They tend to be a little bit better at building and connecting and managing relationships. We're in an economy where that is more valuable than ever before, right? If you look at male psychology, right? Men are, I think, 4 times more likely to have ADHD. Men tend to lose interest in things. They have lots of anti-energy. We have so many devices, so many screens bombarding us with distractions all the time. It wouldn't surprise me if young men are more susceptible to that sort of distraction and that dopamine treadmill than young women.
So
we got to pause there. You've been voted out.
Okay.
It's just getting good.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Hi. Sorry.
You really went for it.
So what do you think is extreme? What are some of the extreme views?
I would say anything that is in...
What? Sorry.
Whoa.
Hi. Sorry.
You really went for it.
So what do you think is extreme? What are some of the extreme views?
I would say anything that is intentionally demeaning the fundamental value of a woman.
Could you give me an example?
Well, the body count example.
But can you understand how there is a correlation between being willing to take a lot of dick from a lot of different people and not thinking highly of yourself?
Perhaps, I don't know.
So I don't think that you're lowering the quality of a woman by saying hey, just so you know, it's probably not the best thing for you to.
But that could be true for men as well.
Men should not be taking dick from a lot of strangers. I agree. I agree. Both genders.
It's true for straight men as well, taking lots of vagina as well. It's generally, low self-esteem correlates very strongly with sexual partners overall.
Totally agree.
Yes.
I think it's worse.
But that doesn't make them worse people. The same way somebody with low self-esteem is more likely to abuse alcohol or drugs.
Totally.
Doesn't make them a bad person.
But it's not good, and also taking dick is a little bit worse than giving it.
Why?
All right, we got to pause there. You've been voted out. Reminder, we want to stay focused on the prompt, the current prompt. Thank you.
Okay.
Hi.
What's up, man?
Nice to meet you.
How you doing?
What's your name?
Mark.
Mark. My name's Mauro.
Nice to meet you.
God bless you. Are you familiar with the red pill, blue pill philosophy?
Yes. My understanding of it is that the blue pill is basically what society has taught you. Do what the man tells you, follow the typical 9-to-5 job. And then the red pill is when you wake up and realize that nothing is as it seems, that society's been duping you, and that it's our responsibility as men to, take control of our lives and go back to the way nature intended it. How'd I do?
You did actually pretty great.
Okay.
Do you believe in that?
No.
Not at all? Not even a little bit?
Look, I believe society's not perfect.
Right.
Society's definitely fucked up.
Okay, yeah. That's true.
But I don't think there's any sort of conspiracy thing going on. As a man, yes, you have to take control of your life. You have to build value for yourself. You have to do something with yourself, right? Like it's
I believe that.
100% agree with that.
150%.
Yeah, it's what I disagree with is all of the packaging and the philosophy.
No, right on. Actually, I actually agree with that. I think actually like the supposed like manosphere whole ideology actually has been actually hijacked. You know what I mean? With these people like Andrew Tate or Nick Fuentes. You know what I mean? Like I don't think they're the epitome of masculinity.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think that really represents what a man actually is. You know,
Preach.
I mean, I do believe with some of their ideologies, but not entirely. You know what I mean? Like, do I think, you know, men and women are equal? No. Do I believe that they're complementary? Yes, absolutely, for sure. But I just want to tell you also, like, you know, like part of the manosphere, right, philosophy is the red pill, blue pill, and I actually do 50% believe in that. And I do believe in the Matrix, you know what I mean? You're stuck in this rat race, you know what I mean? And you don't want to be part of that. And then I've been actually like quote unquote like red pill. I really take that philosophy to heart.
You know, the thing about the red pill, blue pill, right? Like you could look at that as just taking responsibility for your own life.
Absolutely.
Right? And that's an idea that's thousands of years old.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's the analogy of the cave.
Yeah.
You have these men stuck at the bottom of a pit of a cave.
Yeah.
Just watching pure shadows.
Yeah.
And that's to me almost the same as like you're watching the news, you're watching TV.
Yeah.
I think we can all agree like the news isn't 100% truthful. And then once you wake up to this illusion, you leave the cave. You leave the cave of deception. And you wake up to actually how the world truly works. And the world definitely works against us.
Yeah.
Absolutely. This dominion is not of the Lord. This earth, actually, the devil controls it. And he's the one, actually, I definitely do believe.
Now you lost me.
I know. It's okay.
We were doing really well.
No, it's okay. I mean, that's just my opinion.
I know.
And then you mentioned law of attraction. I actually believe in that. I believe in law of attraction and I believe in manifestation. And I'll just say, like, I have a manifestation example.
Okay.
I was thinking of penny loafers. I was obsessing about them. And I'm not even kidding you. I had a dream of penny loafers. And then I went to my local store and I went to the shoe section and I saw some leather shoes for $20 and my dream told me that. And that's what I'm hearing. And then I don't know, I just thought that was like an example of manifestation, law of attraction in action.
I love it, man.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. Thanks for talking with me.
Yeah, all right, pause there. Did you say penny loafers?
Yes.
Can we get there's some killer penny loafers in the circle if we can get close-ups.
I like his style.
Caution, 6 left.
What's up, man? All right.
So when you say a billion-dollar industry, can you give me some examples where they're making money from?
Tate's Hustler University, I think at one point he was bragging that it was making 12, 15 million a month. Mm-hmm. Sports betting, gambling sites are sponsoring a lot of these guys. They're driving like millions of dollars of revenue to them. OnlyFans, like a lot of them manage OnlyFans, so like they'll tell you how like the Matrix is holding you down and how women are, you know, these women are disgusted, and then they will like turn around and promote the OnlyFans girls that they manage to. So it's.
Would you say like online dating courses as well?
Online dating courses?
Yeah, like dating courses and anything like online to give you like advice to pick up girls. Is that in the manosphere as well?
It depends. I mean, this gets back into like, how do you define the manosphere?
Yeah. Well, you kind of defined, you said OnlyFans, you said sports betting. So now you're just encompassing a bunch of different things that probably has nothing to do with the actual manosphere.
There's a lot of different forms
itself.
of monetization.
Yeah.
Right? There's a lot of different forms. Mm-hmm. And again, there's like the manosphere, I think at this point we've probably established there's a spectrum. My issues is primarily with the extreme end.
Okay.
Right.
So extreme is OnlyFans, which I agree on is bad.
Yep.
Gambling, which I agree on is bad.
Okay.
So what else is the extreme it's making too much money where you feel like that's harmful to society?
I mean, Tate's course largely just taught people how to promote Tate's course and take 50% of the revenue. So, I mean, it's by definition a pyramid scheme and an MLM.
So you like went into the course, like you know the courses that are available there?
No, this is just public information.
Okay, so then what specific courses in there is harmful? So you seem to know a lot about if it's making $1 billion.
I've not taken the course.
Okay, so you're kind of just assuming, you're just guessing, right?
I mean, this is just based on things that I've read.
So if someone's taking a course and they're learning just stock trading or trading cryptocurrency or like online marketing. Is that bad that they're in that course?
Depends on what the course is teaching them.
Okay. Is it more you just don't like the person that's giving the course?
Well,
you don't like their
is-
ideology, but
that
if
is-
they're
that
giving
is-
something that's critical for
that
men
is
to learn and make money, you just don't like the vessel it's coming from.
That is.
So if it was
also
coming
true.
from you, you'd probably be like, okay, well, you're biased toward yourself. You like the information you give.
Well,
You
I
can teach
wouldn't
the
make
same
a
stuff
course
and be
on
good.
trading shitcoins. Like it's both. It's both the content that's being sold and the personality selling.
Yeah. Well, you would say that people have self-agency, right? They could decide if they want to take the course. They could decide what information is good from this person, what information is bad from this person, right?
Sure.
You bring up all these like Myron Gaines, Andrew Tate. They probably say, I would say 90% of it's good, 10% of it's bad, and
Okay.
you don't have to take all 100%. Everyone has self-agency, so if you can't decipher what's good and bad from someone, not to be rude, but unfortunately you're just low IQ because you could just take simple stuff that's just good, be like, oh, I'm going to apply this to my life. Oh, that's kind of extreme. I don't like that. I'm not going to apply that to my life. And then at the main core of all these teachings is self-accountability. So you're in control of your life completely. So if you're letting some online influencer dictate and your life goes down a negative pathway, that's your own doing. You're just trying to find something to blame on because you're not taking accountability for your life.
Right, but it's if they're promoting self-accountability while actively promoting things like sports betting, crypto, gambling to people, young men who are very vulnerable. They're naive, they're inexperienced. In a lot of cases, these are like 14, 15, 16-year-olds, right? Like, you don't have to be low IQ to be a 15-year-old who doesn't know a fucking thing about stock trading, right? So it is, I understand that people have to take accountability for their own decisions. But I don't think that necessarily absolves some of the purveyors of these courses and this monetization of the responsibility of not taking advantage.
All right, pause there. We're out of time.
Got it. Cool. Thank you.
Real quick, I want to do a quick poll. Raise your flag if you think Andrew Tate is a good influence. Raise it high so we can count.
Net positive.
Or, no, up, down. Raise your flag if you think clavicular is a positive influence.
Open hairpin right.
That's okay. Then don't raise it. Raise your flag if you think Nick Fuentes is a positive influence. All right, thank you. It's just the poll I wanted to do.
Curiosity. My next surrounded claim is that a woman's body count doesn't matter.
And two right long. Opens.
Hello.
Hi.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Okay, so personally, I do feel like a woman's body count does matter.
Why is that?
Because it's her value. I feel like if something's used, there's no value to it. It's just, I don't want to like be mean, but it's dirty.
Do you believe that women have value outside of their body and their sexuality?
Of course. Yeah, of course. A woman can be smart and still sleep with a bunch of men, but why not be the whole package? Respect your body. It's your temple. It's a part of who you are, so respect it.
Well, that's interesting, actually. Why do you think it's disrespectful for a woman to sleep with multiple men?
Because you're allowing different energies onto you.
What if they're in committed, loving relationships? What if it's been like a long series of 2-3 year relationships over 10, 15 years?
Well, then you wouldn't be dating a bunch of people. You wouldn't be sleeping with a bunch of people if you're committed. So,
But you would have a high body count, right?
to me, I feel like a high body count is realistically maybe over 4 or 5. So when I think high body count, I'm thinking you're sleeping around, you're having one night stands. I respect it. You know, that's where agree to disagree comes into play.
Sure.
But me personally, it's self-control. Be mentally strong enough to say no. Be mentally strong enough to stick to one person.
That's a totally valid preference. My argument is that a body count it's just one piece of data, and I think it's a pretty arbitrary piece of data because people change. They have complicated life stories. Maybe you're a party girl in your 20s, and then you settle down and get serious, in your late 20s. Maybe you've gone through a bunch of shit, had a hard upbringing. So it's you have to address the individual in front of you, not just the number. Do you disagree with that?
That's a good opinion, but I stand firm on mine. Nobody should all have a piece of you. I wouldn't want somebody to hear, yeah, I had your girl. Yeah, I got,
We got a pause there. You've been voted out by the majority.
Okay.
Please return to your seat.
Thank you.
And 3 right, 40.
How you doing?
Hi.
Nice to meet you.
Great to meet you. I'm Michael. So when you say a woman's body count doesn't matter, I just wanted to ask if there are any conditions or qualifiers to that, or do you literally mean it doesn't matter? Whether if she's a virgin or if she slept with 197 people just last month, it's totally irrelevant to everything. You shouldn't take it into consideration at all.
I mean, obviously, some people are going to have certain values. Like if you're religious, for instance, or if you have like certain social beliefs. My point around this specifically, if I'm going to clarify the claim, is that it matters if you're a single man and you're meeting a woman, on the list of things that you should be concerned about, that you should be worried about, it is so low on that list that you shouldn't even think about it. You should be primarily concerned is she trustworthy? Do you communicate well? Is she fun to be around? Do you have shared values? Do you see yourselves going long term together? What she's done in the past is a very, very tiny factor in all of those things.
Yeah, so I think that that's interesting, but I would say that I think that there's a lot of evidence to suggest that body count and sleeping around and having a lot of sexual partners and experiences actually directly relates to a lot of those traits that you mentioned. So I'm specifically thinking about a study or meta-analysis from the University of Utah, which found that the more sort of sexual history that you have, the more body counts that you have, the higher the predictability of divorces. So I think that the specific study that I'm referencing, if the woman slept with, let's say, over 10 women, is what I think it was, that cohort had by far the highest divorce rate or predictability of divorce. And I think that that's pretty intuitive, right? Like if I had a wife and you had a wife, and my wife slept with 3 women and your wife slept with 40 women, and, we're hanging out, and let's say the pool guy comes over and he's going to open up our pool, whose wife do you think has the higher likelihood when the pool guy's 18-pack is out? Whose wife do you think has the higher likelihood of sleeping with the pool guy? It's a little bit obvious, right? That the answer is the woman with 40-plus bodies, and I think that makes sense, right? They have more sexual experience. They have more things that they're using a comparison based off of. It's part of a larger social trend where we're being a little bit more flippant, or we're succumbing to our hedonistic desires. Whereas somebody who doesn't do those things is probably a little bit more of a loyal partner.
So I don't think it's obvious that the wife who has slept with 40 people would be more likely to sleep with the pool guy, because let me turn that around for you. Somebody who is dating somebody or marrying somebody who's very sexually experienced, they have had a lot of different experiences, so they're going to have a better understanding of what they like, what they want, and so when they commit to you, they're making a much better formed commitment. And so as long as there is trust and integrity in that relationship, right? As long as you trust that your wife is being honest to you and being honest about her experiences and being honest about what she wants, there's no increased likelihood that she's going to sleep with the pool guy. And by the way, that same study that you just mentioned, what's interesting about it is that women who slept from between 3 to 9 different partners are actually less likely to get divorced than women who slept with 1 or 2 partners prior to meeting their husbands.
Okay, we got a pause there. You've been voted out by the majority.
Thank you. Yep, thank you. How you doing, man? Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, man. Okay, so a woman's body count does not matter. If we both go to a used car lot, one car is totaled, one car has the engine blown out twice, head gasket never works, always has to be replaced. Another car has a fender bender. Which one are you taking?
I reject the analogy because it presupposes that there's something about sex that is destructive to a body. I actually think a better version of that analogy is if you just bought the first car you ever test drove, how likely are you going to be satisfied with that car versus if you go out and test drive 5, 6, 7 cars, get an understanding of their features, what you like about them, what you don't like, then you're able to make a much better informed decision.
So again, which one would you rather take? The one that's had all these problems, or the one that's had the fender bender?
I told you, I reject the analogy.
Okay, so we're going to test drive 6 different cars, 7 different cars.
Sure.
8, 9, 20? Why can't we just stick with our one car?
Let me ask you this.
Yes.
A lot of men treat body count as a proxy for trust, right? And so What I ask guys is I say, imagine two women. One of them is a virgin. She has zero sexual experience.
Fender bender.
Sure, fender bender. But you catch her lying to you. She doesn't keep her word. She's unreliable. And then there's a woman who, let's say, she's been with, I don't know, 10 guys.
Sure.
Whatever. But she's honest with you. She always shows up when she says she's going to show up. She does what she says she's going to do. She's very loving. She's very caring. She's never broken your trust once. Which one is likely to be a better partner?
The first one. Because she's had 10 different partners. Or why she had 10 different relationships. So haven't those worked out?
Well, you would have to ask her that and find out.
Right.
Because people are complicated and they have different life stories.
Right, so let's ask a question here. If a woman asks me, what do I do for work? How tall am I? How much do I bring it home? Why can't I ask you, what's your body count? You have standards, why can't I have a standard?
Standards are fine, but I think all of those things that you just listed are arbitrary standards. And if I was surrounded by women right now, one of my claims would be height shouldn't matter. Ultimately, when you look at what drives relationship satisfaction, relationship success, these things are very low on the list, yet we tend to focus on them. We tend to over-index on them because they're very easy to measure. It's very easy to like compare 4 versus 6 or 6'2" versus 5'11", right? And so that's what everybody thinks about and talks about when it's actually, when you look at the research of like what makes for a happy relationship, these things aren't even on the map.
Okay, so if a woman has, let's say, 12, 13, 17 bodies, how many relationships have you been in? 3. What's up with the other 14 people?
She probably likes to party.
Then go party. We don't have to be together. But you can
Or
just,
maybe she used to like to party, but now she's ready to settle down.
Not with me. Go if you open if you can decide who you open your legs for, you can't decide who gets down on one knee for you.
Can I ask why not with you?
If everybody's had a turn and nobody's enjoyed it, why do I want to pick you now?
All right, we got pause there. You've been voted out by the majority.
It's just a good.
How you doing?
What's up, man?
Doing well. My name's Don.
Nice to meet you.
So, I'm going to concede with you. Body count doesn't matter to the way that people think about it.
Okay.
There's no dickometer in front of the top of a woman's vagina that tells you how many thrusts per minute that she's had, right? So let's talk about. There isn't. I mean, I haven't seen one.
We agree on that.
Okay, cool. But let's talk about what a sexual risk does talk about. Every time you have sex, you're putting yourself in a very risky situation, right? A woman is getting penetrated. A man is having his way with her. So if a woman has a high body count, it does speak to the level of risk that she's willing to put herself in. And that could be questionable to be like, oh, but she's willing to put herself in risky situations like this. What other risky situations that she might be able to put our relationship in? If this is a behavior pattern, that's where I would say body count matters. Most of the people are talking about, well, whether the body count matters because like they want to have make sure she's pair bondable, whatever.
Right.
A virgin will cheat on you just as quick as a woman that had 1,000 bodies. I'm with you there.
100% true.
But when it comes to the behavior pattern, the characteristics, that speaks more to why body count could matter and should be factored in the decision. If you're going to be willing to take risks, I'm not trying to take some of these risks with you.
I think you and I are actually pretty close on this. I agree with you that personality and character traits is ultimately what matters. But my argument is that there's much better ways to find out if somebody's a risk-taking person than asking them for their body count.
Yeah, you're never going to find out a woman's body count, right?
Well, and it's also just
arbitrary.
I mean, take her to a fucking theme park and see how many roller coasters she goes on. Like, there's other ways to figure
see
this
if
out.
she gets on the carousel. If she chooses the carousel first, right? No,
right.
I'm with you on that because I would say, you know what? Observe what she can observe. Her behavior. How does she treat you? Does she treat you better than anyone else has ever taught her?
100% agree with you. My point, though, and this is where body count is, I think, a bad proxy for what you're talking about, is that people are complicated, man.
Yeah.
People change, people grow, people go through phases. Like, some people have, like, fucked up histories and backgrounds.
Yeah.
I was a fucking mess when I was young. I racked up a huge body count. Now I'm in a very happy marriage. Body count is a weak data source.
Oh yeah, I would say that, and in the grand scheme of things, but not in a micro correlative, factor. Now, let's be honest. Like most of the reason why people are saying the body count matters is because they don't have sex enough. They're more concerned about being her best. And you know, Dr. Orion Teaban on my own podcast said that being her best is more important than being her first.
Yes.
Because her first could be this guy who's like 6'3", tall. He might be a pro ball player.
Yes.
And you want her to be following up after that one body count? Probably not.
The body count obsession is men's insecurities being projected onto the woman.
I agree with you, but the fact that it does matter when you're factoring in risky behavior, that's more important.
All right, we got a pause there. You've been voted out by the majority.
Cheers, then.
And 3 left, and 4 left, and 5 right.
All right.
How you doing, man?
Ross.
Break.
So, a woman's body count doesn't matter. That's the claim. I would argue that it's a blanket statement. Like, I would argue that most men want a beautiful balance between experience and exclusivity. Say for like the city boys in the club, they want a girl with a high body count because they don't want an inexperienced, horrible leg.
Yeah.
And people or men, they want a woman that no one's had because they don't want the homies talking about, oh, I had her too. And also, like Glenn said, I think that patterns matter too. The people that we're talking about are driven by patterns. And so that data is totally valuable based on how they're going to act when times get tough. Maybe they are disloyal sexually. Maybe that's part of their pattern.
My argument here, though, is that all this kind of pontificating of like, what does it mean if she's been with 6 guys? Or what does it mean if she's been with 1 guy? Like, it could mean this, it could mean that. Just fucking talk to her. Just talk to her. Go on the date, get to know her. That's going to tell you 100 times more than like a number in a spreadsheet.
I understand that. Walking both sides of the line, both walks of life, I would like to have my partner be less experienced and more loyal so that her sexual compatibility is malleable to mine.
Right.
We get to mold our sexual partners to our liking and vice versa. And I think that that's a lot more possible when the partners haven't stacked bodies to the sky.
What I'm arguing against is kind of this social judgment, all this like viral content of shaming women for body counts and all this stuff. It's like, that works for you, that's great, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that's gonna work for every man out there, or every woman who's been with so many guys should be shamed for it. Who cares?
Okay, pause. You've been voted out by the majority.
Awesome.
Cheers.
Appreciate it.
What's up, man?
Hi, Patrick.
Sick outfit, man.
Thank you. I have 2 questions. Number 1, do you have any employees that work for you?
Yes.
You do. Now, did you look into their history when you hired them?
Of course.
Of course. If you saw someone with a job history of maybe 1, 2, 3 jobs, a long period of time, or someone with 15 jobs, was there for a couple weeks, 3 weeks, you called their employees, like they didn't last, which one would you pick based off of if they're equally qualified in the interview?
Whoever interviewed better.
I was saying they're both equally qualified on the interview. So why are you looking into the history if someone's meeting for the first time they interviewed great? Why would you even bother looking into the history of it?
So without quibbling with the analogy, which I could, if we're going to stick with the job interview analogy, I actually think this is an analogy that works in my favor, right? Because you can have people who have only been at one company and have terrific experience, and then they get on the interview and you realize that they don't know a damn thing.
For sure. And I agree with you,
And then there's other people who have worked at 10 different companies and jumped around every single year, but then you get on the interview and you realize, that there's a clear explanation for that they have a diversity of experience, and actually they're a really good fit. My argument here is really that, like, forget body count, just talk to her.
I personally agree with that. I don't think you have to ask a woman her body count to know, because if you just pay attention, her actions will show you everything you need to know.
Her actions and attitudes will tell you everything you need to know.
And then I'm also assuming, my other question was, I'm assuming that you're talking about body count matters when it just comes to relationships, not value as a person, correct? Because I would say, like, I don't think people think someone's like less valuable as a human being just based off how much sex they had. But maybe to a relationship, some guys may find that a less valuable someone that's been around, you know what I mean?
Some people do. So But to that latter point,
Yeah.
there is absolutely some demeaning language within the manosphere around women around that, and that is very much what I disagree.
I mean, I think that's just projection insecurity because they want to disqualify someone from the beginning to, soothe their rejection. Personally, is what I think.
Pause there. You run out of time. We're going to move on to the next problem.
Thanks.
All right. Thank you.
My next surrounded claim is that porn has done more damage to men than feminism has. What's up, Mark?
Sean Boyd.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too, bro. Feminism, straight pipeline to abortion.
Okay.
Abortion kills upward of 1 million Americans every single year. It's 3,000 men, women, and children dead a day. Right? If we're talking about comparatively on what's had the greatest impact on taking away manpower from America, I have to say, without a doubt, feminism by far. What do you have to say about that?
I was not expecting to go down the abortion road. I don't see how this relates to like men's mental health and agency in the world.
We're comparing feminism specifically, right?
Yeah.
To porn.
Yeah.
So of course, porn is degenerative as well. I say we get rid of them, both of them, feminism and porn.
Okay.
Definitely. But if we're comparing
feminism
and the destruction that it's had on men as a whole in America versus porn, we'd have to like say that the lives actually being taken.
Obviously, you see abortion as murder.
Absolutely.
So your argument is that the murder of all of the aborted fetuses is vastly outweighs any damage that porn could ever do to.
Extremely. Another caveat to that, the porn and feminism come from the same place. Could talk about that later on a different, when we get more. The same destruction of the nuclear family.
Okay.
Was
because porn has been around for thousands of years.
Let's say the people who own OF right now. Okay. Let's say that the most profound ability to make the America's daughters prostitutes from the young age all the way to the high age, right? Mm-hmm. On a vast majority. What they say, 35 to 40% of women right now, over over 18 going up into 45 are on OnlyFans right now.
That's not true.
Absolutely ridiculous. But yes, definitely.
I actually have the actual numbers from OnlyFans themselves.
Please give me that.
Yeah, so there are 3.7 million total creators on OnlyFans, 1.1 million in the US. About 90% are women, and only 70% are doing adult material. So that equates to about 700,000 women doing adult material in the US, which is roughly 3% of women between 18 and 40. It's still a lot.
You would say that's more destructive than feminism? When feminism gave you the sexual liberation movement to even empower women to believe that you get some type of power from...
I think porn is more destructive for men than feminism is.
Explain.
So the average male currently first got access to porn when he was 11 years old. By 18, 90% of men are using it regularly or have used it regularly in the past. Men who use porn regularly, you see worse metrics across the board. More likely to be depressed, more likely to have body dysmorphia, more likely to have erectile dysfunction, more likely to commit suicide, more likely to have poor relationships. This is ubiquitous. It's available literally for every young man on the entire planet. I mean, one thing that I would probably agree with you guys is that feminism, there's some good and there's some bad, especially the last 10 years.
Especially the feminism that promoted high body counts being okay and not mattering, right?
Well,
so the same effects of the mental depression, all the other degenerative...
We're back to the body counts, are we?
Because it's extremely important. I'm mad I didn't get up the last one to be able to see what about the manosphere's advice is making you not okay with that, but it's kind of almost obvious.
All right, we got to pause there. You've been voted out.
Appreciate you.
Yeah,
that's
Hi.
Hello.
Jessica.
Mark.
Nice to meet you. Porn is more dangerous or damaging?
Damaging.
Damaging to men. Okay, so porn use is selective. Not every man uses it, but every man is subjected to feminism in their society, in their marriages, in their workplace, in their home. You can choose autonomously not to watch porn. You can't choose to end no-fault divorce, which is exposing children 70% more likelihood to being abused. Same with the women. Opening the welfare program for single mothers, which is increasing the crime rate, which is affecting all of society as a whole, not just men singularly.
If that were true, then you would expect to see male mental health decline in the most progressive countries in the world, right? There are countries that are even more feminist than we are.
UK.
Sweden, Switzerland, Germany, Australia, there are lots of them. You don't see the same decline in male mental health that you see here or in the UK.
Are the populations the same in Germany and Sweden as they are in America and the
No,
UK?
there's lots of differences, obviously, but my point is that if feminism was just by and large the problem for
I think
men's
both.
outcomes,
Yeah.
then you would see a clear pattern across all of the most progressive countries of the world, and you would not see men struggling in non-feminist countries, right?
Well-
So there are countries like China and Japan
Mhm.
where men are struggling even more than they are here. That's an indicator that feminism is like not the root cause here.
Okay, but the argument is porn is doing more damage to men than feminism.
Yes.
You can choose as an autonomous adult male who's accountable for your own actions and behaviors not to watch porn and engage in that activity, but you can't choose to avoid feminism in society.
Correct, but it's, if 11-year-olds were getting access to cigarettes and alcohol
Mhm.
every day, would you make the same argument that those 11-year-olds, they can choose not to indulge in cigarettes and alcohol?
Well,
or would
the
you tell
difference
would you tell
actually-
the purveyors of the cigarettes and alcohol, get the hell
No,
away
I
from
would
the
probably
11-year-olds?
tell the parents, your child isn't autonomous. They can't make their own decisions. They can't consent. So you as a parent need to be more controlling over your child and their behavior. So children, making an equation between adult male and children is not the same because they're not autonomous like
Right.
adults are.
And porn is predominantly harming young boys.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, which is why we should probably have age restriction and identification on it for uses, which has been shut down in places like Minneapolis.
Yeah, so I agree with you on that.
So
We
I
agree
think
on
I
that.
think
Yes.
we can mutually agree that porn is damaging
Yes.
to men and women and society. But if you're going to measure it, feminism has done more damage to society and men's mental health, family economy, the nuclear family.
I just don't see that in the data. I don't.
The data and the results of feminism are out, and men's mental health, women's mental health has been worse than it's ever been in recorded history. More men and more women are committing suicide today than they ever have been in
That's not
recorded
true.
history. When?
Pre-1970. Actually, funny enough, 1950s suicide rate was actually the all-time high.
Okay.
It's complicated, and I think we both agree that men in today's society are struggling greatly. But when you look at feminism as a 100-year project of women's liberation, equal rights, voting rights, civil rights, I just think it gets scapegoated for a lot of other things.
All right, pause there. You've been voted out. Please
Okay,
return
thank
to
you.
your seat.
It's nice to meet you.
All right. How you doing?
So question, as a male feminist, aren't you okay with women doing porn? Aren't you okay with them having high body counts? Or, because feminism tells women if they want to sleep around, that's totally fine, just like you said. So I'm confused. If porn is more destructive and feminism pushes that they're allowed to do that, I get there are some feminists, I'm not sure if you are one who's anti-porn, maybe you're just pro-sexuality but anti-porn, but how can you explain that to me?
I'm generally sex positive. People should be free to explore their sexuality as they see fit, I think, including women. I don't think that they should be demeaned or degraded for exploring that sexuality.
I get that. Wouldn't you then be okay with women doing pornography then?
I am okay with women doing pornography. My issue is the ubiquity and the access that men have to it, particularly young men and young boys. The ease of which a 14-year-old boy can spend an entire day just staring at porn for free.
True,
right?
but okay, so quick question. Are you a father? I'm assuming you are?
I'm not.
Oh, you're not? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm a father, right? So I have access to all the internet in my house. If I want to, I could just block it off and not let my kids watch anything like that, right? Which I do. My children aren't that age yet, but when they get to it, I would do that, right? So that would kind of eliminate that. But if my kids go outside or just watch something on TV that pushes feminism or whatever the case may be, or sometimes I've seen them where they're on just kids' YouTube and there's something pops up for like OnlyFans or something. I'm just like, how is this popping up on kids' YouTube, right? Which you would think has parental control on it.
Sure.
So that's something that's unavoidable. Or I could just put something on my internet that says, hey, anything that has adult content on there, my children cannot see.
The first thing I'll say is that, do you think that your kids are going to get around those blocks?
I hope not.
Because statistically, they will.
Well, maybe I'll get it from a friend or something.
Go to a friend's house or whatever. The data is, I think it's 94, 92% of boys by 18 have been exposed to pornography, and about roughly 70, 75% of them are exposed to it.
So are you for a ban on it?
I'm for two things. One is I do think there should be tighter restrictions around it, and I do think there should probably be some regulation around it.
Yeah, because you could just turn on a camera, have sex, and say it's porn, and pay the woman, and technically she was a prostitute.
Yeah. And secondly, I think there should be just a lot of education and awareness built around this. And this is one of the things that I do in my work, is just letting guys know, like, hey, dude, looking at porn every day for years is like fucking your brain.
No, I agree.
And your dick. So,
All right, pause there. You've been voted out. Please return to your seat.
Thank you. Welcome back.
Thank you so much. All right, so I think when we talk about feminism, we have to be very specific, because I agree with you that, Elizabeth Cady Stanton's Declaration of Sentiments did not create the porn problem that we have today. So big into first wave, and then even some of those elements of second wave feminism that secured rights and freedoms. I think that the problem is when you get to these third and fourth waves, we start to get this demoralization of men. We start to get this narrative that patriarchy is this thing, this overarching thing in society, and that men are the primary sources of everything that's wrong with our culture. And I think that you see a major withdrawal there. What's interesting, or maybe a little bit ironic about the claim, is that I think that we're kind of looking at two things that are feeding into each other. I think modern feminism, gender feminism, is by and large responsible or contributing to a lot of the loneliness and withdrawal that we see, which is causing that uptick in pornography, which you and I are in major agreement, totally unhelpful and detrimental to society and men in general.
You had me up until those last few sentences. I think we agreed on everything up until there. I agree a lot of these statements about young boys being told that they are just inherently problematic for existing, right? Like, these are all, we're on the same page. Like that, those things just are terrible narratives to have in the culture.
Terrible.
That said, I personally don't think they are widespread enough or ubiquitous enough to really point at them and say, that's the problem. Because when you look at the problems that have been affecting young men and boys, they go back decades. They go back to the 80s and 90s before any of this stuff started. So I think it's a little bit of a red herring. I think it's a lot of political talking points that get a lot of attention, right? It's like we hear about something crazy happening in an elementary school, everybody gets riled up and freaked out, and we're like, that's the problem. And it's not. That's one school. It's a minority case. It's something that hasn't been ubiquitous for more than a few years. Whereas there are like real structural problems and issues that have been going on for decades that have been harming young men that just never get talked about. And I feel like pornography is one of the larger ones.
Yeah, so that's really interesting. I think that you made a point prior when you were talking about sort of the shift in the economy that we're seeing, kind of going from physical-based careers to more social-based careers, and that women on average tend to prefer those social-based careers, and that's tend to be where the economy is going. So I'm totally with you there. I think that's one of the major issues. I think the overprescription of methylphenidate medication, pathologizing male play behavior, fatherlessness, all of these things are contributing. But again, the problem is that the left controls the megaphones of society. So the left controls Hollywood. The left controls mainstream media. And the left is part of this cultural movement about patriarchy and toxic masculinity and the demoralization of young men at every twist and turn, starting in elementary schools, which are by and large dominated by women who are teachers, particularly left-leaning women who sort of propagate this narrative that men are these really, really dangerous, pathologizing cretins of society. And what do? They withdraw. They say, okay, well, if I participate in society, I become evil. Maybe I'll just withdraw, and maybe I'll just hang out in my mother's basement, and maybe I'll watch porn. Because if I don't want to be evil, well, at least I could be harmless. At least I could do nothing. So I think you and I are in agreement here a little bit, right? But
Again, mostly, I think we agree on the problem. I don't think we agree on the explanation, which is, I would say, are all of those messages that young men are getting recently, is that actually causing the issue, or is it just messaging that's not helpful? And I would argue that it's just messaging that's not helpful. And to your point about the left having the megaphone, obviously that's changing. the last few years, the fact that we're here right now is part of that changing.
Yeah, independent media is doing a tremendous job
Right.
in breaking down those barriers.
And my fear with the manosphere, the reason I'm here today, is because I want these issues to be brought up to the public consciousness in a way that is healthy and not attached to all sorts of the toxic ideologies.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, look, I agree with you there. I think that where I would push back heavily is that I think you're downplaying a little bit just how serious and pervasive these narratives are that's coming out of the third and fourth wave feminist movement, gender feminism, however you kind of want to call it. And when you have all of those cultural megaphones in the ear of young men telling them, you are the problem, be more like a woman, suppress those urges, don't be aggressive, don't go out and work hard, don't bother tuning into those masculine urges, those then get suppressed. And what happens when they get suppressed, they manifest in these really sort of crude and dangerous ways. And I think that's what you see why the manosphere even exists in the first place, right? I think that one could kind of understand the manosphere as maybe a response to gender feminism or a backlash to gender feminism, which I think is obvious to predict, right? Of course, such a radical movement denigrating young men would produce sort of a fascist or psychopathic backlash that is equally unhelpful. So I think that the main thing is we need to change the narrative in the culture, honoring what makes men men, not saying that men and women are interchangeable, that men need to be more like women, that men's sort of innate urges and desires around physical strength, around aggression, that those could actually be channeled in super helpful ways. I mean, the things
We
that
got to pause there. We're out of time.
Of course. All right. Well, it was great, Mark. I really love your work and everything you do.
Thank you. My final surrounded claim is that the most attractive men are those who like and respect women. Welcome back.
Thank you. I think there are kind of two different hypothetical case studies that would show that this isn't the case. I actually wish what I'm about to say wasn't the case.
Okay.
But we all know the example of the man who is really not a great guy, and her friends are telling her like, oh, you shouldn't date this guy, but she's just so attracted to him that she's kind of hooked into that. And then the counter side, we know the kind of guys that are really nice, who are really respectful, who are buying dinners, who are getting flowers, who are doing all these things, and they're just not that attractive.
Right.
And so no matter how respectful they are, no matter how good they are, no matter how kind of nice guy they are,
Right.
and that doesn't mean that there's a continuum of you have to be a bad boy, you have to be a nice guy. I think every good man should be both. You should be attractive, you should be strong, you should be like kind of masculine energy, and you should be a nice person.
Right.
But these are two different continuums. And so it's not being nice and being respectful and kind of being really polite to him is what makes you attractive. It's actually kind of irrelevant.
Okay. Let me introduce another dimension to that spectrum. I would argue that nice guys are not actually nice. They're usually being,
for sure.
They're usually being nice in a transactional way, right? It's like,
I bought you flowers. Now will you like me?
Yeah. Let's have sex.
Yeah, right.
And women smell that a mile away, and it's a complete turnoff. And obviously,
It's creepy. Yeah.
It is very creepy. I would argue that assholes are also quite transactional, right? And the only difference between the nice guy and the asshole is the nice guy is transactional and a very manipulative. Here, let me buy you flowers so I can get what I want. The asshole is like, I'm just gonna say whatever I need to say to you to get what I want.
And that works, unfortunately, often enough in these kind of short-term relationships.
It works in the short term, and it works with insecure women. Those are the two circumstances that it works in. There is a third type of guy who is just not transactional.
Yeah.
And is like, this is who I am. I like you. Do you want to go out? And if she says yes, great. If she says no, great. He's going to go find somebody else.
Yeah.
Those are the most attractive men.
Right. So can we agree that your claim is false for insecure women?
Not necessarily. Because
so what did you just say then about how those kind of asshole guys is effective on insecure
women? It is effective on insecure women, but I think also just being a confident, honest man can also be effective with insecure women.
Okay, but I feel like you've already conceded that those guys are attractive to them.
Yes.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah. So now looking at the secure women, we have this third axis of how honest you are.
Right.
Which is, as we would agree, should be the most important axis of like how, truthful you are if you're trying to be transactional.
And it is.
I wish it were that way.
It is. So actually, David Buss, who I'm sure you're familiar with.
I actually don't know who that is.
Okay. David Buss is like the godfather of sexual mating research across the world. He's done some of the largest cross-cultural studies on what men and women find attractive, what draws them into a partner. His work across 37 different cultures found that women prioritize consistently across all cultures kindness and intelligence above all of other traits in terms of long-term partners.
But the problem is that's of relationships that have already succeeded.
Right.
And so in the relationships that you say, it's, oh, he's so nice to me, he's so kind to me, he's so good to me.
Mm-hmm.
But she only wants those things from a man she's already attracted to begin with.
And that she knows is being nice and kind genuinely and authentically, and,
Yeah.
is not just trying to please her or impress her or
For sure.
And this is the thing, is that the asshole gets mistaken for a confident man because he's not controlled by what she wants.
Well, that often
Okay,
is.
we got to pause there. You've been voted out.
Yeah, you too.
5 right, 90 over
Good to see
crest.
you.
Welcome back.
Okay, so are you implying men in the manosphere don't like or respect women? Is that your implication of the claim?
Yes, I would classify a number of predominant manosphere influencers as not liking and being respectful towards women. Yes.
So when you say like, you mean just like they are not attracted to them? Like, would you say the manosphere consists of homosexual men, or what's the like about?
Maybe. In some cases.
Okay.
I would say like as in genuinely enjoy the company of women without having to trying to get something out of them. And in terms of respect, I would say like respect for their autonomy and their ability to live their own life, like not trying to control them or domineer them in some way.
Okay, so you just say like men and women are just equal in kind of your sense, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, if I say they're equal in value but not equal in capability, does that resonate with you at all?
Sure.
So would you say that men are just naturally more in a leadership role, and that then in order to protect someone in a leadership role, you have to have some masculine traits that are going to protect that woman, which sometimes having some type of authority saying, hey, you shouldn't do this, I'm going to protect you in this sense, which doesn't mean you're disrespecting them, you actually respect them so much that you want to take care of them.
I disagree with that men are typically in the leadership role. A lot of women have good leadership qualities as well.
Yeah, well, you say like broad, like in different aspects of like business or stuff. I'm talking about just relationship-wise. Women will lead in nurturing the children, and then men will lead in protecting and providing for that family.
And in some relationships, it's vice versa.
But would you say for the vast majority? Because we had to speak in generalities, right? And generalities are usually, men are in that leadership role, and that pertains to work the majority of the time, right? There's always going to be exceptions, but we don't harp on an exception.
I would say the leadership roles, both people in the relationship take leadership roles in different aspects of the relationship. I would agree with you there. And if you want to say that men typically take a leadership role when it comes to, say, protecting the family, right? But I don't necessarily think that's always true, and I don't necessarily think that we necessarily extrapolate larger assumptions out of that.
Can you give me an example where in the manosphere a man doesn't respect the woman and you're just kind of...
I mean, I just watched the Netflix documentary last night. I mean, there's probably 100 instances of these guys calling women stupid, whores, worthless, saying you have to control them. If she breaks your trust, you ruin her life. That she's nothing without you, like all these sorts of things. And I would classify all of those as disrespect, fundamentally disrespectful.
Okay.
All right, we got to pause there. You've been voted out.
Got it. Good. Thank you. Appreciate
And 2 left and 4 right.
All right.
So, I don't actually disagree with what you said. When it comes to hypergamy in society, I saw you mention Myron Gaines earlier. I don't necessarily agree with everything Myron Gaines says, but what advice are you actually giving men in society that's better than what Myron Gaines gives them when it comes to combating hypergamy?
And just to clarify, by hypergamy, you mean the fact that women tend to prefer men who have more resources and more status. Yes. So I would say that it is true, women are generally more attracted to men who have more resources, more status. It's just a fact of life. But I would argue that you can make up a lot of that simply through character, behavior, shared values, shared life experiences, and the way you communicate with a woman.
But not when it comes with promiscuity, right? Because like if it's the case that men want to get married, you're probably not going to want promiscuous women. And I think promiscuity is bad for men and women, but I think it's worse for women because it causes male promiscuity because of hypergamy in society. A lot of these men are secularist men. They don't follow any sort of ecclesiastical authority when it comes to the way that they govern relationships. That's why you see Myron Gaines giving out advice like 100 women or 50 women or whatever his advice is. And again, I don't agree prescriptively with a lot of what he says, but I don't know that secularists actually hand out better advice than that. I think that, I don't know.
My advice to men, it has been and has always been, is that you got to get out there and meet lots of women face to face. Hypergamy is not an issue if we're not filtering most of our dating options through a screen that we're swiping through every 3 seconds, right? It's like when people's attention span when it comes to filtering a mate is limited to just a handful of seconds and like the most superficial facts about them, of course they're gonna over-index on those superficial traits and those unimportant facts, right? Whereas like if you actually get face to face with women, you actually meet them, you find some that you gel with, you vibe with, that you have like good rapport with, you have shared values, you have shared dreams, right? Like this
Sure, but that's not a big percentage of women.
We got to pause there. You've been voted out.
It's a very large percentage. Good luck.
Johnny.
How you doing?
Good, how are you? So I want to kind of clarify our terms. As far as attractiveness, I would say, is it the likelihood of landing that first date, or is it like a successful marriage?
I would say both. With I will concede that first date, it's a bit more complex. Like there are a bunch of asshole-ish things you can do to get that first date, but you don't have to do them.
Okay, I believe I agree with that. But what's being preached online is otherwise, and that's what we're seeing as far as like the fantasy side of what women consume, like women porn, is often the vampire, pirate, the 50 Shades of Grey guy. He was a jerk. So we see that what's something we're gonna like put onto ourselves to get that date, and often it works. Being that jerk gets you that first date, and if you want to be the nice guy after that, I support that, and that's something you should do.
Can I ask you maybe a somewhat personal question?
Go for it.
Have you ever watched porn that you were like, I would never actually do this?
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
But that's
50 Shades of Grey.
I see it, but there is a correlation between the guys that are jerks in real life do land that first date.
Yeah, and then they lose the girl. And you see this happen over and over. I mean, I saw it in my line of work. Being a jerk, it kind of feigns confidence, right? Like women have a very finely tuned radar for a guy who is going to be easily pushed over by her. And so they're generally very attracted by guys who are not easily pushed over, that they have their own thing going on, they're very confident, strong in their own, they believe in themselves, they know what they're doing, they know what they're about. And so if she meets a jerk, that is a little bit of a false positive signal. He has no actual character to back that up. And so it quickly either fizzles out or it spirals into a very toxic relationship dynamic that, we've all seen before. You can convey that same lack of pushoverness without being a dick.
Okay, I agree.
Okay, pause there. The flags are up.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
And 3 right into 2 left, 60.
Nice suit.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Andrew Tate, Coach Greg Adams, Alpharonomy. There's many men in the manosphere that are spreading a 100% positive message. Women love jerks. That's 100%. You know that.
I disagree.
What I want to do is I want to go back and kind of round this all together. Men have suffered for years. When you think about the Gladiator, when you think about Thomas Edison, and the extremity that you need to focus in on something as a man to create these amazing things that we have in the world. Men have always been extreme. Men have always had a nuclear focus. We have the manosphere taking men away from pornography, taking men away from loneliness. What are things that you're doing for these men to take them away from pornography?
So I've been writing for young men since 2008. Between 2008 and 2013, I coached hundreds of young guys like all the guys here in this circle. It was my career. I care very deeply about finding young men who are struggling and helping uplift them, because I was one of those young men too at one point. And if you're bringing men together to improve themselves, that's amazing. But if you're bringing them together under the auspices that feminism and women are ruining society, and that and that you have to control a woman to have a relationship with her, that you have to be the dictator in your family, you're setting up these men for failure down the road.
But have men always been the dictators of their family? Men have always led, and that's what we're missing today. That's why we have loneliness. That's why you have time. Men didn't have time to watch porn years and years ago. That's why men have time to watch porn today.
But there's also a lot of fucked up things that we've done throughout history that we stopped doing, right? Like, we used to kill people for looking at us the wrong way. We started wars over nothing for most of human history. Like, just because we used to do something for thousands of years doesn't mean we should keep doing it. And being the dictator of the family, I would categorize as one of those things.
The other thing that I want to focus on, the extremity. You do agree that men have always been extreme, men have always been laser focused, men have always needed to be able to put that energy into something, yeah?
Sure.
Okay. So being one of the leaders of men that are out there, I think we should have 100 more Andrew Tates. Why don't we need more of that? Why wouldn't you want more Andrew Tates giving that message?
I agree with you that we need more voices helping young men. I take issue with the packaging and the persona around it. It's going to backfire for a lot of these men down the road.
Okay, but you know, anytime there's a huge gathering, there's always going to be things that backfire. Nothing's going to be perfect. You know that.
Sure, but it's also, we should call out the thing that's going to backfire, right? It's like, hey, no, that's a little bit too much, man. Like, let's step
But
back.
how can you call it out if there are men who are benefiting, if there are men who are changing their life, if there are men who were in horrible situations that have learned that men suffer, that men go through things? This is somebody who I can look to and borrow their energy and be able to take something positive from.
You can definitely benefit from somebody who is giving you good advice for bad reasons. If you're just having nothing, that good advice is going to lift you up and you're going to have something. The problem is the fact that the advice is given for bad reasons. Those bad reasons are going to eventually catch up with you. And so you're going to struggle to maintain relationships. You're going to struggle to build long-term community. You're going to struggle to relate and respect the world, right? You're going to hit a ceiling in terms of the value that you're able to create as a man if you see everything as adversarial all the time.
We're out of time. I want to lob one quick talking point, if you guys could digest, the fact that Andrew Tate actually produces pornography, because it sounds like you're against porn or you see it as a negative, but his career started through the production of it.
Unfortunately, I don't agree with that at all. Just like a lot of men over time who have got their start doing terrible things, it seems like also that's where he got his start and got his money from. So I don't agree with that at all. But just like as we know as men are always going to suffer. Men are always going to fall down. Men are always going to hit their head. And what are they going to do? Men will bounce back and come back and start doing other things that do benefit society. Men have always done that. Agree?
Yes,
absolutely.
Can women do that?
Of course. Women,
so a woman with a high body count can bounce back and change?
Of course she can.
Okay.
A woman also has that ability to do that, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, we've got pause there. Thank you. We've run out of time.
Thanks, man.
All right, Mark, great job. We have finished your prompts, but for this final section, I want you to look around the circle and select somebody to come to the center and debate you for 10 minutes based on their claim.
Okay.
Caution, 3 right, brake, into hairpin left.
Let's do this guy. I forgot your name. We were like, it was really getting good, and then you got voted off.
My name is Will.
Nice to meet you.
My surrounding claim is that women care more about looks than personality.
What makes you say that?
All these things that you've been talking about, that you need to be authentic with your partner, your girlfriend, or whatever, the date you're on. Like, when you're on a first date, for example, and let's say you're on a first date with like a really pretty girl.
Right.
If she pays you a compliment, or she says, genuinely, if she says anything, you already know it's coming from a place of authenticity, because this girl probably has like 10 dates this week. And she has lots on her plate. She's thinking about a lot of things, so she doesn't really have the energy or to put on like a facade. And I think that most people can sense that. And from what you're saying, women can really sense that if a guy is saying, here's the flowers, here's the reservation, or whatever it is, and they feel like it's a transactional thing. Because for a lot of guys it is. Like, most guys are not going on a date every single day. They're going on like one date a month with a girl they actually like. They don't have options, and so that they when they're actually there, they're so stressed and they need things to go perfectly that they behave strangely. And I think that women can perceive that. So what you're describing is like, you need to be this authentic guy that if a girl blows you off, you say, hey, no worries. That guy is a guy with a lot of options. And the guy with a lot of options is usually just a really handsome guy. I mean, that's what it is.
What would you say about examples of ugly dudes with smoking hot girls?
It's such
we've
an
all
interesting
seen
question. I mean, so now you're getting into SMV, like sexual market value stuff. So I believe that, I mean, obviously everyone has seen someone with status, you know, there's famous actors with beautiful wives, or someone who's really rich. You know, every girl wants to go on the yacht party, and then, you know, you see the guy that owns the yacht, he's not so handsome. So I would say that between these three things, your looks, how wealthy you are, what your status is, whether you're well known, like within the balance of those three traits, you'll get to a certain point where you're acceptable to.
Would you add personality and values to that list, to your sexual marketplace value, right? Because people generally want to date people who share values, who they have good chemistry with, that they enjoy talking to, right?
Yeah, no, I think that having shared values is important for a really long-term relationship. But I think that the reality, how old are you, by the way?
42.
42. I wish that I was born when you were born. Because, like, I think when we're talking about long-term relationships nowadays, where the women that people in my age group are dating, they've been on dating apps, they've been on Instagram like their whole life.
Right.
So they've been inundated with interest from men, like truly inundated. Like every single day, hundreds of men are requesting to have a date with them, or literally just like jump into bed with them right away. And I think that that's created this really warped sense of reality for a lot of women. And I think it's starting to, I think it's just starting to affect men really deeply.
I think we agree on some of this, but not others. Looks absolutely matter. Like, anybody who tells you otherwise
it's crazy.
Is probably f***ing selling you something. Yeah. So it looks absolutely matter. They matter most in the early phases, right? They get you the attention. They get you that first date. They get you probably a little bit more leeway on that. Like, if you say something stupid, or you mess up or whatever, like, you're probably going to get more slack if you're a really good looking guy than if you're not. And you might even be right. I will concede that in this day and age, right, where everything's driven through apps and Instagram and everything, like, appearance is probably
it's amplified.
It's at the most premium that it's ever been.
Yeah.
That said, I think once you get past that first date or that first impression, and especially once you get in the real world, when you actually get into like meeting women face to face at a party, at a friend's house, whatever, the value of looks proportionally to personality comes down. And I think once you get in, say a month into the relationship, it's almost not a factor anymore. It's almost all personality.
I couldn't disagree more, because I think a lot of the relationships I've seen of my peers that have made it, it's usually been, they've been together for 10 plus years, and both of them they've kind of let go of all of the facade and the vain things you're describing.
Sure.
Maybe they don't go to the gym every day like they used to, or they stop caring that much about eating healthy. And I think the ones that have made it, I'm saying the man and the woman have kind of both let go of these things progressively, and they've descended, is what they say.
Okay.
And so
their
I think in
stomach line is descended is what's happened.
And I think maybe part of that is because they've both internally really committed, like, this is the relationship I'm going to be in the rest of my life. Why would I do all this BS?
Yeah.
But I think that a lot of times it's not so simple like that. You might only be 4 or 5 years into a relationship and you're like, this feels really good, but sometimes I'm not sure. And I think that if both partners, at the end of the day, they feel like, this person I'm dating isn't just valuable to me, they could be valuable to other people as well. It discourages people from just kind of throwing things away or deciding that their life is better off in a different direction or whatever it might be.
If I can just tell you my experience, I've been with my wife for 14 years. My girlfriend before that I was with for about 3.5 years. Something funny happens. When you're in a loving relationship that is very happy, you stop seeing each other objectively. It's actually really weird. Like, because this person matters so much to you, even if they're gaining weight, even if they've let themselves slip a little bit, even if they, I don't know, are dealing with some sort of like sickness or condition or whatever, like, you don't see it. It's like your perception warps around them, and the same happens to you. Looks really only come back into play if you're unhappy, right? Because then that's when you start asking yourself, why am I still here? Why am I putting up with this? Oh yeah, she's not as hot as she used to be. I just realized that, you know, like it's that.
A lot of married guys also talk about how the attractiveness can ebb and flow, and it can come back in funny ways after, you know, a long time, like you've been with your wife.
Dude, so much of attraction, physical attraction, like our perception of what is attractive is driven by our emotions.
You know, but if I can interrupt you, like, frankly, I mean, you're like a media personality. Like, you're kind of look-smaxed right now for your age group. Like,
thank you.
Frankly, I mean, you don't seem like you haven't. I mean, you're like in good shape.
Thanks, man.
So then you would say that once you're to a certain level of intimacy and connection, that everything physical kind of just goes out the door.
I wouldn't say everything, but I would say it becomes deprioritized a lot.
I think we're getting a little. I think that my bigger message, just for like young men that are in the early stages, because I mean, look, everyone would love to have a happy marriage and be on year 14, but I think that like most of these guys who are kind of in the red pill community, they want to talk about game and all this stuff. Like you need to be, you know, rude to a woman to get her to like you.
Yeah, like, again, it's not that looks don't matter. It's just that I think what I see, right, and I'm not really in this industry anymore.
Yeah.
Like, I used to, all my work was around, like, helping guys meet girls and get laid and find a girlfriend and all that.
You got guys laid?
Yeah.
like a lot of them?
Yeah. I used to take guys out to bars and, like...
You would wingman them?
Yeah. It's like a professional way.
Isn't it so weird how just having another dude with you, like, I think it increases your chance by like 1,000%.
It's ridiculous. It's social proof. But it's what I see with your generation. Because so much of this has moved online, it's moved into the digital sphere, so much of how people talk about and understand dating has become digitized. It's just photos and numbers on a screen. And so I what I see is guys over-indexing on stuff like this, right? It's like the looks maxing thing. I totally get it, man. Like, you should be as good looking as you can possibly be. Like, that is just fucking logical, right? It's gonna help in every area of life, not just with women.
How could it be controversial?
Yeah, it's self-improvement. But like, what I worry about is like just only focusing on that to the disregard of everything else. Because ultimately, like, over the long term, what matters is, how are you showing up? How do you feel about yourself? Do you communicate well? Are you respectful? Can you, like, call somebody out on their bullshit, right? Like, that's the stuff that matters.
I have to.
All right, I'm sorry, I gotta stop you there. We're out of time.
Oh man, 10 minutes.
He's getting good again.
Thank you, Will. Thank you, Mark. Let's give Mark a round of applause.
Thank you, guys.
If you think that Will mogged everybody in this room, let us know in the comments. Tune in Wednesday for a follow-up to this episode. And thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.
I thought the Manosphere guys were really interesting today. There was more of a diversity of perspectives than I was expecting. I was also surprised how many things I ended up agreeing with some of them on.
You can be a victim without having a victim mentality. And I think the Manosphere is really important at preaching both of those ideas simultaneously. That feminism is a problem and that it is causing substantial damage to young men. But also that as a man, you gotta be tough, you gotta be strong, you gotta go to the gym and talk to that girl anyway and go make money anyway.
I honestly think that this was such a cringe fest, frankly. I'm silently freaking out. I really don't want to be associated with most of the things that were said. It's so hard because a lot of these guys, I want to be I want to support them, but they're just so radioactive.
I think the Manosphere sometimes gets a lot of bad flack
But I think the overall message most of the time is trying to actually help and build up the structure of a man. Men, and especially young kids, need coaches. They need leaders.
I see why the manosphere exists, because there's just a vacuum of leadership and role models for young men today. I understand where these guys come from, and I understand why they feel the way they do, but I just think the manosphere is not the best answer to these problems.
Could such extra dimensions exist? And if so, how would we try and probe whether that's the case? If you imagine looking at an extended object like a wire, it just looks one-dimensional. It just looks like it has a length. But if you were able to get really close to that wire, you'd see that it also has something like a thickness. And so that extra direction is what's called compact.
Is it possible to have a compactified time dimension as well?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, imagine 2 dimensions of time.
Wow.
The problem with 2 time-dimensional theories and compact time dimensions in general is that it's very hard to maintain causality.
Higher dimensions look down on us.
That's good. This is Star Talk. Neil deGrasse Tyson, your personal astrophysicist. Got Chuck Nice with me. How you doing, Chuck?
Hey, I'm doing great, man.
All right,
Thanks.
a comedian, actor.
Yeah.
I've seen a few TV commercials here and there.
Yeah, you know, I'm listen, sometimes I have nothing to do.
Well, today we've got a really cool topic that's always on everybody's mind. Well, everybody who cares about the universe.
You know, even people who don't, but I'll get into that later. Yeah, you know what we're talking about. I've heard some really weird stuff from people that, you know,
they want to get into it.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. We're talking today about string theory.
Yeah.
And now we have our man about town, string theorist, Brian Greene, right up the street.
Right.
But I said, you know, all the universe is not Brian Greene.
You know, he would beg to differ.
So I said, so we reached out to the cosmos.
Yes.
All right. And we found Laura Anderson. Laura, welcome to Star Talk.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, so you are Associate Professor of Physics at Virginia Tech. One of our producers is from Virginia Tech. So you're right at home here among us.
Yeah, you're family now.
Yeah, you're family.
Good to be among friends.
Also, like Brian Greene, you have a double affiliation also with the mathematics department.
I do. I'm an affiliate professor of mathematics, which means I can supervise math grad students as well.
Oh, so you just taking jobs from everybody. Just professors out on the street because of Laura Anderson.
Entirely possible.
I can try to picture that, how they're like, I'll do your math homework for money.
Yeah, exactly. We'll math for food.
I think, unfortunately, that is a job.
It's called tutors, really.
Right, exactly.
And your research includes, I have here, the geometry and particle phenomenology in string theory.
Ooh.
So let's just get to the bottom of this. What is string theory?
Yes.
String theory is an attempt to reconcile Einstein's theory of general relativity, a theory of gravity, with the formalism of quantum mechanics and quantum field theory. So it is a consistent quantum theory of gravity. May not be the way that quantum gravity works in our universe, but at the very least, it's a theoretical playground where we get to ask questions about quantum gravity.
Now, you've made an assumption in there, and I agree with this assumption, but I want to hear you defend it. You are trying to absorb Einstein's general theory of relativity, our modern understanding of gravity, into a quantum description. Why aren't you trying to take the quantum and absorb it into a general relativity description?
Because inherent in what both of you said, there must be an incongruency that would cause you to have to do that.
Exactly. So why don't you start with that, Laura? What is the incongruency here that you're trying to resolve?
Two of the greatest intellectual accomplishments of the 20th century, in my opinion, are Einstein's theory of gravity and the description of fundamental interactions in nature as described by particle physics. So things like a description of, quarks, fundamental particles, how they interact with each other, that gives us a description of things like electromagnetism and the strong and weak nuclear force. These sort of basic building blocks of matter, these fundamental Legos that we can put together, they're described very well by quantum field theory. The issue, the sort of discrepancy between these two, is that each separately are able to make predictions that are incredibly accurate in our modern world. So we can make predictions to like 13 significant figures using either of these theoretical frameworks.
That'd be 13 decimal places. Right. There's 13 significant figures, yeah.
I'm going to say that's pretty accurate.
It's pretty great, yeah. And like things like modern GPS wouldn't work without general relativity. So we have a lot of ways of testing these theories. They seem really robust and that they're telling us really important things about how the world behaves. Unfortunately, if you try and combine the two, so you try and describe phenomena that might need both tools. So for example, things where the interaction of particles and very short distance scales are in play, but also where there's really strong gravitation. So for example, inside a black hole, that would be a regime where you need both of these theories, these frameworks, to agree and give you concrete predictions. And unfortunately, the theories break down when you try and combine them, and you don't end up getting useful answers. You get very manifestly wrong answers. They're called disastrous infinities, things that just don't predict anything.
Disastrous infinity.
Man, you can't get more disc than that.
Sounds like the worst marriage ever.
Yeah, it's not great.
Disastrous infinity. So what gives you the confidence that it is the quantum physics understanding that will absorb gravity and not gravity absorbing quantum physics?
It's a great question. So I think that it should be a two-way street. So in order to describe either phenomena, you need something that can be described in both frameworks. Einstein's theory is sort of intrinsically classical, meaning that this picture of the curvature of space and time, it's not designed for sort of the quantum mechanical uncertainties that we know and observe in particle physics. So in that sense, we know that Einstein's theory, probably at a granular level, if you sort of zoom in, should evolve into something quantum mechanical. But exact form of that is up for exploration.
Okay. So that works. Now, you mentioned fundamental particles. And you go back to ancient Greece, the atom was a fundamental particle.
That was the smallest thing that you could be.
That you could be, right? And then we break the atom. Oh, there's other particles. And so you listed like electron, that's fundamental, and you mentioned quarks. What gives you the confidence that we can't keep dividing
Cutting
matter
further?
Right. Further.
Yeah.
That's a great question. I think most theoretical physicists would not say that we are 100% confident that we stop there. This is the zoo of particles that we've observed so far that seem to match the phenomena, the forces and interactions and effects that we see in nature very well. But absolutely, there could be smaller things in play, and indeed, string theory posits that there are.
Okay. Oh, really? Okay, right, exactly. That's the little vibrating string.
So the string is the fundamental
thing. The string is the fundamental.
So take us there.
Okay,
Take us how do strings come into this?
So the idea behind string theory, the 2-minute version of what string theory tries to do, is it says, imagine that instead of describing particles as little point particles that move through space, imagine that instead, if you were able to zoom in far enough, that you could have an object that has an extended length associated to it. Mm-hmm. And the very rough idea is that just like a violin string can vibrate in different ways and produce different notes, these little fundamental strings can vibrate into different configurations. And it turns out they can change their properties. The mathematics of how you describe these things moving can change their properties based on how they vibrate. So they can vibrate one way and be an electron. They can vibrate another way and be a quark. And that seems like a very sort of cute idea for how to describe a lot of physics in a very simple framework.
But if that's the case, in principle, you ought to be able to pluck the string that is otherwise an electron and get a quark out of it. Have you done this?
No. And the problem with this, so I'm going to tell you one thing that's really cool about this framework, and then also two things that are not cool. One of them is very much to do with what you said. So why can't you just test or observe, are these strings there? The theory predicts that these fundamental length scales of strings are so small that we would need a particle accelerator about the size of the solar system in order to smash atoms together and directly see those strings, which unfortunately we do not have access to those type of energy scales yet.
Just to affirm what is implicit in your statement, the larger the particle accelerator, the faster you can speed the particles so that when they collide, there's much more energy in that collision. Mm-hmm. You'll probe regimes that previous accelerators could not.
That's right.
Okay, and so you just scale up what we got going now, and you need something the size of the solar system to get to these energies.
Right, which doesn't seem very viable.
No, it's not. It's not. So what's plan B?
Before I answer that, let me just throw one thing out there about string theory that I think is important to say. So if you ask about quantum mechanical point particles and you say what kind of spaces could they move through, it turns out that quantum field theory or quantum mechanics can be formulated in any type of space. So they can move through basically any background that you choose, any configuration of space and time. But if you ask the same question for these little one-dimensional strings, if you say, where can a quantum mechanical string move? It turns out that the only spaces that they're allowed to move in and do their thing of vibrating in different ways and being different particles, the only space they can do that in are spaces that obey Einstein's equations of general relativity.
That sounds good.
Wow.
Yeah, so you actually get gravity for free in this formulation of quantum mechanical strings. So we sometimes say that quantum gravity is consistent and also compulsory in string theory because it's being, you're forced on you by the equations that the strings can satisfy.
So that's a good feeling then, because it means something is talking to something else in the formulation that was not crowbarred in to begin with.
That's right. So it's sort of being handed to you. And that fact is, I think, something that early in the development of string theory got a lot of people excited. Unfortunately, like many good things, things come with a catch. And the catch in string theory is that this beautiful formulation I just described of, you can describe all the particle physics by one little extended object, you get gravity for free, only seems to work if the universe that this happens in has more than 3 spatial dimensions and 1 time-like dimension that we seem to see in our universe.
So you need extra dimensions because right now we live in 4 dimensions, which is 3 spatial plus time. You need more dimensions in order to make this thing work, but we don't have access to more dimensions, so we can't really say for sure.
Well, it seems like a really big intellectual leap, right? We're pretty happy with our 3 dimensions of space and 1 dimension of time. So the first pass is could this at all, is this just a deal breaker, right? Is there any way that this could be consistent with what we've already observed about the universe? And as you were just alluding to, right, the question is, could such extra dimensions exist? And if so, how would we try and probe whether that's the case? The requirement that we can see right off the bat about these extra dimensions is if they were to exist, they can't be the same size as the rest of the dimensions that we see in our universe. So if we look around, we can see that, we have very large spatial extent for, front, back, side to side, up and down, and of course time. But if there were these other directions, they would have to be really, really small compared to the rest of our universe. And the analog for that is, if you imagine looking at an extended object like a wire from really far away, it just looks one-dimensional. It just looks like it has a length. But if you were able to get really close to that wire, you'd see that it also has something like a thickness, a radial direction. And so that extra direction is what's called compact, meaning that it's very small compared to, say, the length of the wire. So one thing that we do know is that if this had any chance of working, these extra dimensions would have to be compact and very small compared to the rest of our universe.
Okay, you're freaking me out right now because, I'm just going to say it. So I was down in Costa Rica doing ayahuasca for a week. And in that time, I had an experience where I met these beings who told me about dimensions that existed inside of our dimension. So they were alongside of, yet inside of the dimension that we live in. And I can only think that maybe that was a presupposed, pre-planted, post-hypnotic suggestion because I have actually read about string theory. Because if it's not...
or Laura, what drugs have you been taking to get your...
And my follow-up question is, what did you do?
That's right, yeah.
I hear the question, yeah.
Is it possible to have a compactified time dimension as well? Or is all of the models only stuck with 1 time dimension?
Oh, wow. I've never even considered that.
Yeah, imagine 2 dimensions of time.
Wow. Holy crap. Go ahead. Yes.
So the problem with 2 time dimensional theories and compact time dimensions in general is that it's very hard to maintain causality in such theories. So if you have a time direction that can loop back on itself, it's possible to have the whole go back in time and shoot your grandpa situation hitting you pretty hard. So to maintain consistent theories with multiple time directions or compact time directions, it's not, I'm not going to say it's impossible, but most people don't consider that a very viable way forward.
You would have to discard causality altogether in order to do that?
I think in general, the claim would be it would violate causality in such theories. So there may be some creative ways to get around that, but generically, I think that's true.
By the way, we have a Stephen Hawking on one of our earlier episodes. You can find it in our archives.
That's right.
We went to University of Cambridge and chilled with him for a bit. Tell me, he proposed a time travel conjecture, something like that. Tell us what that was. And does that save us from this? Is that?
I mean, there are a number of conjectures, say, in the theory of gravity that say that causality is an important structure. So that, in general, one would not expect that consistent theories of gravity or indeed quantum mechanics should allow such
You just
things.
can't get it to work. Okay.
Yeah.
That's fine.
I mean, listen.
That removes many movies in the repertoire where you got to go back and change the past.
Exactly.
Like Terminator.
All the
among them.
Terminator
Yeah,
is
that's
done.
right.
Forget about it. We look back on the past, but we look forward to many futures. So the idea of being able to look back and say, at this particular point, all those many futures still exist. If I could get back to that point, then I could change it to one of these other tracks, which, I mean, it's a great fantasy and it makes sense to have that fantasy. But what you're saying is it's a stupid fantasy because it ain't never going to happen.
Well, I would say, never say never in science. You got to be careful, but certainly it's not something that I think most people have a good idea how to make work in a consistent way at the moment.
And that's why I'm not a scientist.
And just consider to say never. You said never. You said never.
You just said never.
You can't say never
without
saying never. Hey, Star Talk fans, I don't know if you know this, but the audio version of the podcast actually posts a week in advance of the video version. And you can get that in Spotify, and Apple Podcast, and most other podcast outlets that are out there. Multiple ways to ingest all that is cosmic on Star Talk. Before we sort of pivot to this whole thing of phenomenology, because I want to know, it's a big word with a lot of syllables. I've heard it invoked before, especially in particle physics. But before we step there, I just want to understand, how will you ever test string theory? And we know in advance that you have naysayers out there, physicists among them, who are saying you're diverting time, resources, graduate students, faculty positions to something that doesn't even classify as a legitimate scientific theory or hypothesis, because you need to be able to test it. Without the test, go home. So let me hear your response to that.
Absolutely. I think that's a really fair question. For any theoretical framework where you're trying to describe things, if there's a big intellectual leap, right, and for example, extra dimensions is a pretty big leap, you have to justify that with a payoff, right? You have to say, what is the benefit that I'm going to give you in terms of, structure and predictions and what you're learning from this theory. So to push back on the, how are we going to test it? Let me observe first that in particle theory in general, the timescales between predicting structure in particle theory and then being able to see it in experiment over the last half century have gone, increased in size considerably. So one example of this is the prediction of the Higgs boson made by Peter Higgs, which took about 50 years from the prediction that this particle should exist to its observation at the LHC.
That means the theorists are just way ahead of the experimentalist. Right. You got some deadbeat experimentalists.
I would not say that at all. I would say that dialogue of theory and experiment is really important, but I'm just pointing out that direct verification by experiment of lots of things is hard. That doesn't mean that one shouldn't do it. It just means that, you have to be deciding what timescales are relevant for that question. For string theory, I would say the problem is a lot worse than it was for something like the prediction of the Higgs boson, because the energy scales are so massive to directly observe strings. So for me personally, I'm interested in trying to decide whether string theory is useful a lot faster than that in the point of view of my career. And I remain very agnostic as to whether that's the case. So
you want to be alive when
I want to be alive when we decide this. And also, if somebody could demonstrate to me right now that string theory was for sure not useful for our universe, I'd choose to work on something else. So what do I think is the sort of most direct way to those types of answers is that in string theory, many types of structure and results in physics are really intercorrelated. So it turns out that in something like the particle physics description of all the particles we know about so far, the standard model of particle physics.
So that's the organization of all the particles that we know,
just
in one chart. And you say this interacts with that, and this connects here, and it's a beautiful thing actually when you step back and it's a triumph. I mean, that happened I'm older than both y'all. That happened in my lifetime. I mean, basically the 1970s.
Wow.
We started assembling a little earlier too, but the full picture was coming together as we found these other particles to flesh it out.
So it's a periodic table of particles.
Okay, all right, an organizing principle.
Yeah.
Very good. Okay, so pick it up there. Sorry.
Quick anecdote from when I was a kid. I got interested in physics, reading books like by people like Brian Greene when I was, in my early teens. And I had a little, I'd written down the standard model like on a piece of paper. I made my little zoo of particles, and I carried it around on a piece of paper for a bit as a super, nerdy young person.
Girl geek in the house.
Love it.
Girl geek alert.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. But I totally agree. It's the zoo of what we know is there. And the point I was going to make in relation to string theory is that in something like the standard model, there's a lot of free numbers. So for example, nothing in that theory tells you what the mass of the electron is or how the quarks couple to each other. Those numbers are just observed in our universe.
Well, you said free numbers, you mean not predicted.
Correct, not predicted by the structure of the theory. Now, in contrast to that, in string theory, if you found a solution of string theory that produced particle physics like we see in our universe, none of those numbers are free. They're all determined by the configuration of these extra dimensions and the structure of the theory. So it's a huge array of physics that you have to get right all at once. And here I've been talking about particle physics, but you also have to answer questions about cosmology and the large-scale structure and history of the universe. So how are you going to decide if string theory is wrong? I think that it's most likely that we would be able to say that the structures that we see in nature, we can argue that we either can or can't get the right sort of regimes of numbers and effects that we already know are there, much more rapidly than we're going to build an accelerator to see a string.
I love that.
Oh, that's...
Yeah. So what you're saying is, you, whether or not you can test the dimensionality or the other sort of physicality of string theory, if your theorist can go in the back room and come out and say, I pluck this string this way, it's going to give me an electron and it's going to give me this mass.
Right.
And it's the only mass that's going to come out of this.
Right, because that's the right number.
It's the right number and the right vibration, and it's going to look like an electron. That's a Nobel Prize right there.
Yeah. It's like the way they do like modeling or weather modeling. We have a prediction and then we run the model on what's already been done. And if we get those numbers, then we can have confidence in the predictive model itself.
That's right. Again, so the idea as I just articulated it, this has been around for like 40 years. This was when people were first formulating string theory, everybody was excited and they thought we were going to do exactly what you just said. You're going to go around, you're going to look at the solutions of the string theory, you're going to say, boom, here's our universe, here's all these numbers, we just predict everything, it's great. That hasn't happened. And there's, people are still trying to think about this. So what are some of the big obstacles? One of the issues is that it turns out that when you ask how many different configurations for these extra dimensions can there be, initially the hope was that maybe that was very restricted. Maybe there was just a couple. The question of how many could you have? So if you said, what if we just had, say, 2 extra dimensions that obeyed the consistency equations from string theory, turns out there's a unique answer from the differential equations that tell you what that shape could be. If you ask, is there, what happens if there are 4 extra dimensions? There's a unique answer. And then if you say, what happens if there were 6 extra dimensions, which happens to be the extra dimensions that we think needs to arise to give what we see in nature, turns out there are 500 million configurations and counting that have been found so far.
So it sounds to me like what you guys are saying is we have this instrument, and on the instrument, there's a certain amount of notes that are just resident in the instrument. And now we have to figure out one song because all those notes can make however many billions of songs.
We need the one song.
We got to find the one song that all those notes can play.
But it also sounds like nature's just messing with us.
Yeah.
It sounds, so this is one of the things that people push back on string theory on, is they say, okay, if all these possible solutions of string theory exist, how is it ever going to be predicted? And, you could just have this big soup of things. And some people have even made that argument. They call it the string landscape, where they say, you could just land anywhere. So what if there's some place in the string landscape that looks like our universe? There's all this other junk. What is the theory actually telling us then? And the argument I would say against that is that in something like quantum field theory, which we already talked about for the standard model, this zoo of all the quarks and leptons that we know in nature, There are an infinite number of quantum field theories that I could write down that aren't our universe. But it doesn't matter because we do know how to write down one that does look like our universe. So string theory is sort of a natural extension of quantum field theory in some ways, and it has a lot of flexibility that may have nothing to do with the physics that we observe in our universe. But the question is, once you zoom in on the parts of that theory that do you learn anything? So for example, do you find that if you see the particles that we already know, that additional particles must be there, or additional forces? Or can we correlate features in cosmology and the large-scale structure of the universe, like dark energy or dark matter, with particle physics that we know to be true?
I don't want to lessen the significance of how you describe that, but if I understand it, you're saying on this, like you said, this landscape of 500 million possible songs that it could be, and you want the one song that's yours, it's not useful if you find it unless upon finding it, you get other insights about the universe we're in. Because otherwise it's just a just so story. Right? It's the universe is just that, and we explain it with just that, and it doesn't take you any further down the street. Is that a fair way to characterize it?
Yeah, and another thing that people are asking within string theory is, how many possible quantum theories of gravity could